and welcome to the newest show that we got here, Knicks Live. I'm your host, Troy, and you could be anywhere in the world this evening, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate that because tonight we have a great show on our hands. But let me explain to you what Knicks Live is for a little bit because some people don't really understand the premise of the show. Now, I've been reading the comments for a while, been listening to so many things, and one of the main aspects that you guys have been asking for is more collaborations. More collaborations with Knicks content creators. So Knicks Live is highlighting all the Knicks content creators all over the world that cover the Knicks. Regardless of where you're from, we want to highlight you. So each and every week, we're going to have a new guest on this show. The collaborations are going to be legit. You're not going to want to miss that. But for tonight's show, I want to go ahead and highlight a content creator that's somebody that you guys may know. Maybe you don't know, but I definitely think you guys do. Now, some people know him as O. Some people call him Big O. Maybe some people might know him as OG. Now, I call him OG. Now, if you're lucky, if you're a friend, he'll let you call him Orlando. But I would figure that most people right now would consider him or know him from his Twitter handle. So please help me welcome my very special guest, Nickanator. What's going on, OG? How you doing, brother? Real happy to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here, brother.
Yeah, happy to be on, man. When they reached out, I was excited about the opportunity, man. I was looking forward to it all day.
Man, I appreciate you, and I appreciate, again, for you being here on the show. And, of course, again, you being a Knicks content creator, a lot of people don't actually know you're a content creator. They only really know you from your Twitter handle, which is a robbery, in my opinion, because the content that you create is so extraordinary, especially the shorts that you do. In my opinion, it's some of the best content out there. So I really, really do hope that a lot of our fans can get an idea of what you do on a day-to-day basis with some of the content you're going to talk about today. Now, listen, we are going to discuss everything about the Knicks, so much about the Knicks today. So I know we're going to get to that, but what we're not going to get to a lot of, but I do want to highlight a little bit because it is Knicks Live, for instance. So I do want to hear a little bit about, the casual corner sports, because we know about, Nickanator, which again is on screen right now, and that's your @ but some people may not know about casual corner sports. You guys see the @ on screen right now. It's _CC Sports _. Now, obviously, you can follow that on the app X right now. That is Nickanator's other brand. And obviously, this is the place where you can go to find other content for him. Now I've seen that brand. I know it's the content that you publish, but for our audience who may not know, what you do with that brand and your vision, if you could just give us a little bit of information on, what the content they can expect out of that brand, what your vision is. And again, I know you're keeping some things close to your vest, so you don't have to give us too much, but just give us a little information on what we can expect with that brand.
Yeah, I've had the Nickanator handle for years. I'm going to say maybe 2011, 2012 even. I launched the Nickanator handle. After going through several renditions, I had a Machiavellian theory because I believed that the Knicks were trying to fool us all. I had this whole conspiracy theory about what was happening with the Knicks, and I came up with Machiavellian theory. And then eventually I ended up on Nickanator because when I first came to Twitter, it was Twitter back then. I would log on and I would get into these conversations, and the depth of knowledge that I found folks on Twitter really had about the team, about the history, about the plays, about the X's and O's. I kept finding myself saying, I will be back. I'll be back. So I just kind of played off of the Terminator and I'll be back. And I created this whole Nickanator handle. And it's been fun. It's been fun because, I've traveled. I've traveled with the team. I was out in Chicago. That was the last trip that I went out to. And somebody stopped me in Chicago. It was like, hey, you're the Nickanator. I'm like, well, he said, yeah, I'll follow you, dude. And I was like, it's surreal when you kind of get stopped by an internet. It's just, you're not ready. I don't think I'll ever be ready for it. And it's happened more than once. But yeah, that's kind of how the Nickanator was born. And that's kind of how the Nickanator gained its fame. I'm just a fan like anyone else. I love the team. I'm invested in the team and I'm a diehard. I never really considered myself a content creator. I kind of felt more like a content experiencer. Right. I think that what you guys do is a lot more formal, a lot more buttoned up, and you guys provide information. For me, I always think that it's shenanigans with me. Right. I like to make people laugh, and sometimes this team will make you cry. So you want to kind of bring some humor back to the audience. So I always began that way. You fast forward to today, it's happy times, it's good times. And now, moving over to the casual corner was going to be something where There are a lot of contested debates about what the team should be doing. Fans are passionate. And what you find, and I have DM chats with so many different people, man. Some people even have my cell number and they call me in the middle of the day and they'll have a conversation with me privately about the team because they know that the nature of how Twitter works, right? So when I thought about Casual Corner, it was about creating a space where folks can just have the casual conversation about the team that they love, right? And not feel this antagonism that happens on the timeline. Because you have folks that they'll come after you in a heartbeat about what they should think should happen with the team. So that's really what the Casual Corner is about. I haven't put a lot of content out there. It's not about shenanigans. It is gonna be a little bit more buttoned up. It's gonna be a little more clean. And I'm gonna do some things that maybe folks aren't doing right now in the content creation world. Because what I want to bring is my experience as a Knicks fan. Of course, I want to talk about the team, but I want to talk about the community. I want to talk about the experiences, the people that I've met, what we've experienced at games, different points of the season. The roller coaster ride that is the season that we all go through for the 82 games. That's really what I want to capture and bring to the people. So the Casual Corner is going to be the vehicle I used to do that.
As you guys can see, guys know why I follow him, why I speak to him on a daily basis. Very, very knowledgeable about the sport. Love his takes on everything Knicks, whether it's funny, it's serious, whatever the case may be. And the Casual Corner is going to give you all of that. Again, you see it on screen. Please give my man a follow. Follow his brand account here, and also follow him at Nickanator, where you see on the screen right there. Now, again, this is to highlight Knick content creators, so we're going to give them the best opportunity at this point in time to make sure we're allowing them to give us. Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. I'm hearing the background over there, Nickanator. I apologize. No, you good. I apologize about that. But what I want to get into, because obviously we're talking about so many different things here today. We obviously talked about your brand, which I'm happy to get into, but I do want to talk about right now the Knicks and what they are doing, because obviously that's what most people want to hear. They want to hear us collaborate, but they want to see what you feel about this Knicks organization and the moves that they're making. So one thing I want to get to really quick is Precious Achiuwa, because I really want to get into that. So the Knicks recently re-signed Precious Achiuwa to a 1-year, $6 million contract. And shout out to my guy Ian Bagley for actually giving us some updates on this. So as you can see here, Bagley does state that Achiuwa, even though he signed this deal with the Knicks, what is interesting, Nickanator, is that Achiuwa waived his no-trade clause as part of the deal. And as previously noted, Achiuwa had drawn interest from other contenders. He probably didn't have to waive it. And Fred Katz mentioned that normally a player like Achiuwa, who receives a 1-year contract, he has the right to veto any deal. But now that he waived it, he doesn't have the opportunity to do that anymore. So the problem becomes now with Precious Achiuwa. Does he remain a Knick? Does he solve the Knicks' backup center problems? Or even more than that, does he become somebody that the Knicks trade at the February trade deadline? Now, for me, when you waive the no-trade clause, automatically, all that tells me is that you're making a trade at some point down the line. Now, I'm not sure when that trade is going to happen, but if you're reading everything on the wall here, it's looking like it's going to be the February trade deadline. So, Nickanator, first, I got a question for you. What do you think about the signing of Precious Achiuwa? First, it took a long time to do it. They had a long time to wait, but they eventually got it done. What do you think about the signing, and what do you think it means for the Knicks moving forward?
Well, I think one of the staples of this team is continuity. And I think off the bat, you get that with Precious. You have a guy that knows the organization, a guy that knows the team, the guy has experienced success with the team. Granted, he's not a true center. I look at guys like Precious Achiuwa, and you know what? I'll even say this about Jericho Sims. These are overachieving fours because of their size. I don't feel that they're true fives. And maybe in a small ball lineup, you can get away with that. But I think that, to your point about why he hung out for so long, I think the Knicks gave him a deal where he probably saw more money than he was going to see from any other team, first and foremost, with an agreement that, hey, you waive the trade clause because if we do find something we like down the road, we want the flexibility to be able to move you.
Do you think the money mattered there, Nickanator, in terms of because he got $6 million, which is perfect in terms of if you do want to make a trade, it's actually perfect money to use. Do you think that was a factor, the money part of that?
Well, let me turn that question back around on you. What do you think the market was for Precious Achiuwa? Do we think that was a $3 million signing, or do we think that was a $6 million signing? I think the Knicks paid him. I want to say that they probably overpaid a little bit for what Precious Achiuwa is. Right? He doesn't bring any offense to I hope he shot 1,000 jumpers a day in the gym, and he can surprise some people when they give him that clean look, because he did get some people sagging off of him and doubling down on other people. So he's not a force there. So I think, yeah, man, I think that the Knicks probably paid him more than anyone else was going to offer him. He hung out. He was patient because at the end of the day, it is about the money. We all love the team, and we always look at it about our passion. But this is a business. This is a business for everybody involved, including Precious Achiuwa. So, yeah, man, I think that the Knicks kind of overpaid a little bit for him, and the flexibility he returned was the waiving of the no trade clause.
I like the move because I feel like when you're looking at it, right, and we've looked at this report for weeks now. I mean, the Knicks have been changing trade targets faster than people get coffee each and every day. Each and every week, it's somebody else, right? It's always Walker Kessler's, Jalen Duran, it's Alfred Sengun, it's all the players that we wanted. Even the funny part is with Jalen Duran, we actually had him, but then got to get Jalen Brunson. But hey, listen, nobody's complaining no more about that. I definitely don't think that. Yeah, I'm saying
not at all.
But the Achiuwa signing for me does point to the fact that they couldn't get any deal done. They obviously tried. They wanted to get a deal done. It wasn't like they didn't try. That's why they waited to do this. I think the move was to sign Achiuwa regardless. They just waited to do it because they wanted to see if they can get a sign and trade done. That was the move they were looking to do. Sign and trade. Maybe you include those protected picks that we have. Deuce, maybe. Is it there or not? We don't know. Obviously, they want to keep Deuce because of the bench and whatnot, but then you have Campaign, you have Tyler Kolek, you have all these other players now that potentially make Deuce expendable. I'm not saying that he is. Don't kill me in the comments. Relax. I'm not saying that he's expendable. I'm saying that potentially, if a team said, hey, I want to give you my best young developing center in Jalen Duran, and all you have to do is give me Miles McBride and 2 protected picks. By the way, give me my pick back, Knicks.
Right.
You never know what could happen with that. All I'm saying is it's a possibility. You look into it. But I think the trade aspect with Precious Achiuwa is the biggest part of why they made this deal, because it still gives them the flexibility, Nick, to go all the way into, I keep saying Nickanator. And I know your real name, too. It's so stupid.
You can just call me bro. You can just call. I know Nickanator's a mouthful. Just call me bro. It's cool.
Yeah. But with the entire thing with Precious, I feel like they're setting up another move for the trade deadline. Obviously, that's the way to give them flexibility. They don't have to make a move right now, give up all their assets. They keep them. And if a team gets more desperate, which teams do get desperate during the trade deadline, you might be able to take advantage of that desperation. Do you see a point with the Knicks doing that as well? Do you think the Knicks are going to go that route, or do you see them going somewhere different?
Absolutely. I think that the flexibility is there. Whatever they were trying to do in the market, I've seen it pan out for them. I think the asking price is too high. The entire league can look at that roster and see that they have a gaping hole at the back of 5. And what is the nature of business? We want to exploit each other, right? So, yeah, it was a foolishness. I have a guy that I follow. His name is, I think it's Spencer Keeler. I hope I didn't butcher his name. He's out in Utah. He covers the Utah Jazz out there. And we were talking about it, and I was like, come on, you're going to get 2 first-rounders for Walker Kessler, bro? Like, come on, what are we doing here? Danny Ainge is going to do it, So I think that the asking price out there was ridiculous, and we had laid out a lot to land Mikal, and I think it was just shrewd, good business on their part to say, hey, let's kick the can. Worst-case scenario, there's the buyout market, right? But we're gonna kick the can here and bring back Precious Achiuwa, which everybody knows and everybody loves, and he's a dog. He fights. He shows up. He shows up. He showed you that in the playoffs. He shows up. He's a little bit limited in what he has to offer, and that's what we're gonna have to see what the impact ultimately is with that position and that decision.
We talk about the trades a lot, trade markets and all those things, right? But for me, one of the main things that sometimes doesn't get talked about, well, maybe it gets talked about too much, actually. Julius Randle and that contract extension. Now, I didn't want to segue to this right away, but something in me, had me want to segue to it. Now, for all of the audience that's watching right now, shout out to you guys. You guys don't know the backstory about this. Let me enlighten you really quick. We were doing a studio check yesterday, like I normally do with all of my guests, to make sure things are working. And during that, we have a little discussion. So, me and we discussed Julius Randle. Now, I don't care if anybody agrees with me or not, but what we disagreed about was a little bit, I wouldn't say odd, but I didn't expect to get disagreement from him about it because I've spoken to him so long ago. So it reminded me how long it's been since we've spoken about this. Look at him sweating. I got him sweating already. I
already know what's coming.
The extension, my brother. So, Julius Randle is going to be extension eligible early August. I believe it's August 3rd, but it might have changed. Still early August, though. Now, according to Ian Bagley, he states, I think it would take a major shift in thinking on both sides to get an extension done for Randle when he is eligible early next month. So it's clear, even though the Knicks could possibly give him an extension, and maybe that's been talked about, it's not at the forefront for Randle, nor is it at the forefront for the Knicks. So the likelihood of him getting that extension is very, very low. I don't think he gets that extension. I really don't think he gets that extension this summer. I think he probably gets it next offseason. Now, the criticism that I always hear about that, or the pushback is, well, if you do that, Troy, then Julius Randle can be an unrestricted free agent. He can walk for nothing. And my whole thing to that is, he is loved by James Dolan, Leon Rose, the Worldwide West, the entire front office. I get that he would be an unrestricted free agent, but the loyalty he's shown the Knicks, I'm not looking at him as that traditional unrestricted free agent. Either he's going to stay a Knick or he would be in a sign and trade, but I think he would do what was beneficial for him in his career. For you, with Julius Randle, let's first start with that extension part. Do you think when he's eligible to get extended early August, will he get that extension from the Knicks?
I mean, I think that the Knicks have prepared a package, and if he was comfortable signing it, then we would hear about it on the 3rd. I think, like Ian said, that they're on two different pages when it comes to what that number should be or that figure should be. So I don't expect to see, breaking news from anybody on August 3rd about an extension for Julius Randle. I'm kind of in the camp that they're gonna kick the can there, and I'm gonna remind you now, and I'll remind the fans of what happened with Emmanuel Quickley, right? Emmanuel Quickley had, I think it was October 25th. He had to sign by then, or he would become whatever the type of free agent or restricted free agent or whatever it was, the type of free agent he would be, where he could walk at the end of the year for nothing.
Restricted.
And I think at that moment, thank you. And I think at that moment is when the Knicks said, okay, now as we approach the trade deadline, this is a key guy in any package that we move, because we're not going to lose him for nothing, right? If you talk about guys that they've drafted, I think Frank Ntilikina was the last one that walked for free, right? That they didn't do something with. If you look at this front office and the organization, the only person that kind of got away from them was Isaiah Hartenstein. And he wasn't a draft pick, he was a signing, and it was a mechanism in the CBA that prevented them from really offering him more or something more competitive like other teams were. And I don't blame Isaiah. I think Isaiah did the right thing for him and his family. Good luck to him. But, when we talk about Julius Randle now, I think of that, man. I think of what they did with IQ. And I think Julius now if Julius is not comfortable with the offer they've put on the table, yeah, man, I think that when you start talking about maybe, I don't want to get into names, but I think that when you mention that trade deadline that's coming down the road, he may be one of those guys that finds himself packaged up like Emmanuel Quickley did on the move.
So, all right, here's where so that's exactly where we stopped, right? If I'm not mistaken. That's where we stopped yesterday. So I'm very happy we did, because I have a whole new re-energized type of take on this. Oh, why in the world would they trade Randle when the value for Randle still needs to be seen? The thing with Randle has to be the playoffs. That's where value skyrockets. If he doesn't play well in the playoffs, then the value goes down. If he does well, his value goes up. You might be able to get more for him. If you trade him by the trade deadline, even if he does have a good year, the things that will go against him will always be the injuries, even though it shouldn't, because in my opinion, they're more freak injuries, but some people don't even consider that anymore. Injury each year, after each year is injury, whatever. So they'll consider the injury history. Then they'll consider the fact of, in the postseason, what does he do? What does he give you? What is his average? Those things are always going to weigh him down. And if you've not seen a postseason, then that means you're betting on something to happen that you've never seen. So I ask you, as a GM, if you want to go out there and get Randle, maybe moved at the trade deadline, like you said, like they did with the Quickley, right? Which I think Quickley situation is a little bit different, because we wasn't making any money. Randle's already making money. Yeah, he'll make more, but we're talking about somebody who's a 3-time All-Star, whatever. All I'm saying is that it wouldn't make sense for the Knicks to trade him at that point, because they would not be able to maximize the value to get him back for. And maybe you're going to say, you're never going to be able to do that. There's never going to be a time where his value is going to be at that point. And even if it is, maybe the Knicks won't ever capitalize on trying to get that player back. And I can understand that if that's your point of view, but I'll let you answer it. My point of view is they can't trade him because the value wouldn't make sense at that time. It would make more sense to wait till the offseason to sign and trade him. To that you say?
I I don't think. I mean, I get that the sign and trade is a possibility. I don't think they'd wait that long. I don't. I like I said, and I'll still give the example of Emmanuel quickly because I look at each player as an asset, right? And at the end of the day, they took Obi Toppin and they flipped them for 2 second-round picks, right? And I know we're talking about, Randall's a multi-time All-Star and whatever else, and all the accolades in the world. He's really become a really good player. I had my issues with Randall. I thought that he had real challenges controlling his temper. I think he would let his temper get the best of him, and he would lose focus on the floor. And I think you saw that. And what you see now with Randall is I think he's matured. I think Randall's gone through those bumps in the road, and I love the fact that it's happened here at New York. Right, there's so many things that have been tied to our organization. We've come a long way from the LOL Knicks era, and whether fans like it or not, Randall is part of that process. And Randall, who was here, is now here. Like this is a guy that's grown. He's matured. You saw the impact of Jalen Brunson. I do think there's value there, and I don't think that they would risk, a sign and trade down the road because. Whatever, they're going to have this loyalty party. If there was a loyalty party, they would have had it right now, right? But what's going on? He's in China with Skechers, getting money, doing advertising, doing whatever he's doing on the Great Wall with his nice Skechers. So get money, Big Jew. I'm not mad at you. Get your money. Why would we think now, all of a sudden, and I get that, the heartstrings are being pulled. Like I said, he came from here to there, and all that is absolutely there. He's changed agency and came back home. All that is in the bag. But this is a business. And at the end of the day, we're talking about championships, and this team hasn't been in this position in my lifetime. I can't say we are in the position right now. So do you really think that they're going to waste opportunity because Randall do the right thing over the summer in a sign and trade when he didn't do the right thing now? Per them, he didn't do the right thing. Of course, he's doing what he thinks is best for him. I don't agree with you, bro. I think they move him by the deadline. I don't know who for. I don't know what will open up. But if they can trade Obi Toppin for 2 second-round picks, I think anything's possible.
I can hear you on that just because of the fact of the anything possible part is absolute because Leon Rose has made that absolute. Anything is absolutely possible, the bad and the good. So we can definitely acknowledge that. But I still think with the Randall situation, he is too unique of a player. I understand everything you said. It does make a lot of sense.
Wait, let me hit you with something really quick.
Go ahead.
The bottom falls out in LA. The bottom falls out for the Lakers specifically.
Okay.
And they're going to blow that up. They need assets. They want to move, and Anthony Davis is on the table.
Right.
And you could send Julius Randle for Anthony Davis back to the team that first drafted him, who's about to bottom out, and he can get his numbers and he can rock out and do what he wants to do, and the Knicks get back Anthony Davis. You don't think they do that? If we don't know what's going to happen down the road, we don't know what's possible. Anything can happen from here to the trade deadline. For me, just hypothetically speaking, I look at it like that. Like, what if the Lakers bottom out? It's going to be all about Bronny and LeBron and that. And okay, we need some guys that can run around with them. Anthony Davis is out. Let's get some assets.
Yeah,
bro. Julius is on his way out, bro. Julius will be on his way out. Not that I want it.
I know. Listen. I want to make it clear. Anytime a content creator says anything, it's an opinion on a question that was asked. I asked him a question. He didn't just go out the blue and run out the street and say, hey, this is what it is. You're like, no, we're talking here. And this is what I like. I don't like agreeing with everybody. To what people actually think, people think that I love when people just run to agree with me. While that's great and all, it has its great, responsibilities, I guess. I think it's great to have that. But for me, I love the disagreements. Disagreements are what grow the knowledge. And especially if you talk with somebody who knows the game like you do, and we can speak about that at that level, our conversation helps everybody else who's listening. And by the way, if I don't go to the chat right now, it might kill me a little bit. So I gotta go to them real quick. Shout out to the chat gang real quick. For some reason, my chat won't load on the screen. Sorry, chat gang. But to make up for this, I'm just gonna read out your chats real quick. We got about 115 people watching this concurrently right now. 512 views, a lot of likes as well too. And the chat is going off at this point. And we're only 20 minutes in. We have a lot of Knicks talk to go. We're going to hit even better numbers. We see CP the artist in here. He says, it's lit. Salute. It's lit in here. Hit the like button. Shout out to CP the artist, my guy, man. Appreciate you, my brother. Knicks 100 GM says you can't pay them all. So pick one, either OG or Randall, but one of them has to go. I think he agrees with you. They're not moving any of the foundation. If Randle leaves, he's taking Mitch with him, and I hope y'all know this. That's all from Knicks 100 GM. And again, for anybody who's not subscribed already, just because something happened to you where your finger forgot to smash the subscribe button, while you're doing that right now, smash the like button as well, too. We're trying to get included into the algorithm over here. It's very difficult, but your support really helps us. And if you're not a member of the channel already, go ahead and do that as well, too, because that's how you get exclusive content with very new guests that we're going to have. Not only content creators, but also other very special guests, other journalists, and potentially other players as well, too. I don't want to, toot my own horn here or anything or say too much, but things are on the way, Things are on the way. More comments before we go more to this chat here. Leon Mitchell says, are they willing to make James Dolan angry and trade Randle? I don't, oh, the bobblehead. It's the bobblehead. Shout out to the bobblehead. Listen, man, coming soon to a place near you. Hopefully, crossing my fingers for that. But Leon Mitchell, he asked, are they willing to make James Dolan angry and trade Randle? I don't think James Dolan is ever going to be upset with Randle. If he was never upset with Steve Mills, my man brought Steve Mills back for no reason. If he was able to do that, I don't think, I would highly doubt he would ever get angry with Randle. Your thoughts on that? You think that James Dolan would ever get angry enough to want to say publicly he wants to trade Randle?
Sorry, I muted my mic. I didn't want to punish you with the air conditioner. Listen, as far as James Dolan, right? And I don't know. I have so much to say and I have nothing to say. I want to be very careful because I enjoy my seats at the Garden and I don't want any problems with the house. But as far as James Dolan and making James Dolan upset, let's keep that Brock Aller hat on. Let's keep it business and let's be realistic. Leon Rose has made more money for James Dolan. I mean, even if you look at the stock price, right? Like Leon Rose has made so much money for James Dolan right now in this short window. I would say he's probably made more money in the last few, from Phil Jackson to Steve Mills combined, have not. I don't know that we don't see those dollars, but I would venture the guess that Leon Rose has done that much for the organization that he's bought himself a little credit with James Dolan. And if maybe James Dolan has his ties with Julius Randle, he'd take faith in Leon and say, hey, whatever you think is best for the team. So
appreciate you. We're going to go to a couple more people in the chat here. Appreciate everybody who's in the chat as well, too. All the likes, all the support. You guys love us, apparently. Apparently, you guys love the recap and Nickanator chats. Hey, listen, man, they like the debates. I like having the debates. I like having the debates with people that are willing to have the debates with me and somebody who's willing to talk to me on a level that everybody can understand. That's why I'm speaking to O. You see his on screen there? Please follow my man so you can get this conversation directly to you each and every day on your timelines, okay? Smooth is in the chat, and of course, he got to get me mad. This is an insider for anybody who knows me. Trade Randle for Zion. Just kidding. Salute to the panel. Two legends. Randle, the key in the future for better or worse. If he plays well, we win the finals. If not, he's gone. He's gone. So he believes that if Randle doesn't do well this year, and if we don't go to the finals, he's gone. Now, I mean, I don't think he's gone, Smooth. And by the way, stop with the Zion Williamson thing, okay? We can stop now.
Ship sail.
That's gone. Gone. It left for RJ. Ain't coming back.
He's got a better chance of ending up in Canada than he does New York.
Right.
He's going to get his passport stamped.
What do you think about the premise that if Randle doesn't help the Knicks get to the final?
I lost audio. Can you hear me? You can hear me. I can't hear you. I don't know why. Well, you were asking me, though. I'm going to answer what I heard. You asked me about the premise that Randle, basically, if we don't make the finals, he's going to have the center of attention. I think it's on my end, bro. But after I answer that, I'll figure it out. I think Randle's in a terrible position, man. I think that no matter what happens here, he's going to have the microscope on him. There's only going to be two people here if this doesn't go the way that they want it to go. It's going to be Tom Thibodeau and Julius Randle. And you better believe that if there's a fall guy, it's going to be Julius Randle. So I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to Randle, but I think that that's just the way the dynamic is going to play out. I'm going to try to figure out this audio piece. I don't think you can. I can't hear you. I don't know if I'm on screen or not, but throw a thumbs up if you can hear me. I cannot hear you. I do not know why. That is so weird. All right, I'm losing this. I'm gonna try it now. Boop, 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 boop. I'm gonna keep talking while you work on that because I don't know if the people can hear me or not. But might as well just go ahead and chat it up with the folks. Um, I you can hear me. Cool. I cannot hear you for whatever reason, man. I think it's on my end, but I'm not even sure. Um, yeah, man. I do think that Randall's in a terrible position, man. I think that no matter what happens with the team, it's gonna be all eyes on him. And and if he has a great season and he's running back on defense, I think the only thing you could really say, shout out to damn, I don't even want to say this. Is this rude? There you go.
All right,
I can
so
hear you.
it wasn't you, it was me. My computer, everybody, I'm going to go back to live here, excuse me. So sorry so much to Nickanator. I apologize so much. My whole system reset at the same time that I switched to the Randall thing. I have no idea why that happened, but I do want to apologize to everybody for that. But I did have to restart the stream. We're still on. We're still good. Let me just make sure everybody's still with us over here. Okay, we dropped a little bit from our viewers, but not too much because everybody, thankfully, in the community loves us so much that they're staying with us. Oh, they appreciate us that much. So the question...
Here's to y'all, man. Thank you for hanging tough through the technical difficulties.
For
Appreciate
real,
y'all.
we started a little late because of it. We're starting a little bit behind because of this. But you know what? You guys are here. We're going to continue to push through it because we have a lot of Knicks content to talk about. And the question I was asking, really was Smooth's question about the Julius Randle aspect. And if we didn't make it to the finals, would we quote unquote be gone? Would he be gone? Would he be traded from the team? Or would it be taking something else from that to get him out of there?
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, the contract scenario we just discussed with Randall, he is the piece, man. He is the cog. No matter what happens, he is the cog. He frees up a lot of salary cap space. He's a talented player. He's worth something on the market. I think it's debatable what he's worth, what somebody's willing to pay for him. But I don't want to say unfortunately, but just the reality of the situation is he is the cog. You're not going to move one of the Villanova guys. You just paid OG all this money. You just brought in Mikal Bridges, who is tied to the Villanova core. So you're not going to make that move. Yeah, man. I mean, if there's an odd man out here, it's going to be either Mitch or some sort of combination of Mitch and Randall, depending on what the salary is, because the restrictions of this new agreement, how it impacts the aprons. I believe they're in that first apron. They're not in that second apron. And they have to be very careful what they do. You have to match money. You can't aggregate things anymore. And Randall's a big block of money. So, yeah, like I said, it's just unfortunate. He ends up looking like a scapegoat. But contractually, yeah, it's what makes the most sense now. So, yeah.
First of all, that's
all right. Yeah. It's not what I want. It's just what I think is going to happen. Bro,
I'm muted. Sorry about that. Nobody heard that. I was going to say, I hate the fact that Julius Randle, we're talking about Julius Randle potentially being traded because that's the one thing that I don't want to talk about. I'm not saying you want that. I'm not saying you're advocating for that. But that's all I can think about. You've sickened my mind with it.
You saw what happened with IQ. You know what these boys do with assets. Randle is an asset. Bro, it's kind of written on the wall, man. And like I said, he's off in China, getting money, he's doing the sketches ads. He's not even thinking about it, right?
Man, oh man.
When it came to Jalen, and the closer we got to that period where he could sign, and he signed that money. I mean, literally on the day of, right? There were reports and there was news breaking, and he signed, and it was for this amount that was friendly to the team, flexible for the organization. You go back to OG. Oh, people say whatever, but OG left a little money on the table. There was talk out there that other folks were willing to max.
That's a good point. Yeah, he didn't go into free agency to get the max. You're right.
No, he left. I think it was maybe three a year. He left maybe 12 million or 16 million out of the whole deal. I don't know what the exact numbers were, but the point is he left some money on the table. He left something for the organization. I'm sure they came back to Randle with a figure, and we're like, listen, and this is why. And like Ian Bailey said, they're on two different ends about it. What more do we need to see, right? Like IQ felt he should be paid starters money, right? And they were offering what they were offering, and now IQ is playing ball for Toronto. And good luck to him. It's business, man. It ain't personal.
All right. Listen, I obviously don't agree, but I love to have the conversation because it's good to have it. I also appreciate everybody who keeps sticking with us as we continue to go through certain technical difficulties. But again, everybody who has been sticking around the conversation, I appreciate the comments and everybody here who's been giving us all of these. Oh my goodness, man. We have so many comments from so many people. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, John? Salute, John. John is actually a friend of one of my best friends. I didn't know that till recently. One of my best friends texted me recently. And I didn't know, but his uncle is John, one of our subscribers and somebody watching the show right now. And he texted him and asked if he could get a meet with me. And I felt so honored by that because...
Is John someone I know?
I don't think so. I've only seen him on YouTube. I don't know him on Twitter or anything like that. But I was so honored by that because I'm not saying, like, listen, I don't think I'm a celebrity by any means or anything like that. But when somebody wants to meet me, that was really kind. And that was really kind.
Listen. Give me 2 seconds here. So, I was in the street football world for years. Like the way I'm a diehard with the Knicks. I was really lost in street football for years. And I have a circle of people that I know for over 20 years, right, that are from that street football community. I got text messages, bro. When you promote it, my former quarterback hit me up. Somebody else I know from the league that used to play for the team, like, yo, you the Nickanator? You're gonna be on this show with the recap guy? He said, yo, that's my dude. I was like, how you even know? He said, bro, I subscribe. I know who he is. That's why I listen to. So yeah, man, people know who you are. People are in tune, man. You shouldn't be surprised. You're doing good work and people follow, man. So
hey, man. I appreciate that. Well, that's why I want to use the platform as well, too. I want to help other people as well. I want to help other creators get their content out there, get their basketball knowledge out there. Because before anything else, before you want to follow somebody, you want to make sure you agree with what they're saying. I listen. Oh, I'm sorry, brother. I'm not trying to make you sweat. I apologize. Should I make the questions easier? Should I give you a light one? All right, let me give you a light one.
CP was on there earlier, right? And CP was talking about my housing project air conditioner. So I can't turn it on because it's too loud. I love CP, man. He's a jerk, but CP is a jerk, man. All he does is mess with me, that guy. Man. He's hilarious.
Oh, CP. Yo, shout out to CP. Please go buy a shirt from CP. I got a couple of shirts from CP. I love his merch.
He texted me like, bro, all I hear is that New York City Housing Authority air conditioner in the background. Like, go to hell, man. What's wrong with this dude?
Oh, anyway, man. CP
he's hilarious.
He's so funny. I love CP.
He's a good dude, though. He's a good dude, man.
He really is. And he does great work as well, too. So shout out to him. Love CP.
Absolutely. Quiet Cap, I probably shouldn't mention this yet, but Quiet Cap, I'm looking to work on something with him, a project here in Midtown, got a location. I think his art is good. I want to kind of feature his art here in the city in Midtown. So it probably won't happen to the spring, but I'll put that in the air now. I spoke to him about it. I spoke to my people about it. Everybody's on board. We just got to work out the logistics. But probably in the spring, we'll do a little CP art gallery here in the city, man. So that's going to be fun, man.
I can't wait for that.
And I'm going to have my wife cater it. You know, my wife's got the Yams and Yucca catering company. So
nice.
Yeah, man. Should be a ball.
All right, cool. I can't wait to get my invite. Anyways, appreciate you. But first of all, shout out to the chat gang. We went through so many comments. I do appreciate you guys. I went through extra comments because of the technical difficulties. But we got to move on with the show. I can't keep forever, even though you guys probably want me to. Conversation could drag on forever. But I do want to give you a light one. I did get you sweating, so I apologize. So I want to give you a light one. So the light one I want to give you is the Knicks in this offseason. We talked about Leon Rose, right? So let's talk about Leon Rose and exactly what he actually did. So, excuse me. Everything's messing up today on Knicks Live, unfortunately, man. You know what? This doesn't work out when you want it to work out.
Rusty, brother. You're rusty.
I'm not rusty.
The system's a little rusty.
Let's
but you haven't been live in a minute.
since last week. but let's go to this next slide over here. So Leon Rose this offseason did something that a lot of people thought he couldn't do, or maybe wouldn't be able to do. He got Mikal Bridges from the Nets. Nobody thought he could do that. He re-signed OG Anunoby. Nobody thought he could get OG, let alone re-sign him. Did both of those things. And then, my opinion, probably the biggest move that he did all offseason, maybe his entire run as president, the Jalen Brunson contract signing. Jalen Brunson extending for the amount he extended for, which I believe is $156 million or up or around that price, which he left around $117 million on the table. That's right. That's by the way, that's if he didn't make an All-NBA team. If he made All-NBA, All-Star, all that stuff, that could have went all the way to 300 plus, something crazy number like that. He chose to sacrifice that in a way to make sure that this Knicks squad was going to be the best squad available moving forward. The best squad in terms of consistency moving forward. And for me, I couldn't believe that Brunson did that. Now, I don't know if he would have done that for any other franchise, but he did it for the Knicks. Your opinion, first of all, if you can give me a grade, start off with your grade for the Knicks and their offseason, and then give me why you're giving them that grade and how you felt really about the Knicks and what they did this offseason.
It's tough. I don't want to be a homer. I don't want to sound biased, right? But I'm really like, I guess I vacillate between A- and B+. I think, and to the degree that Isaiah Hartenstein outplayed his contract was hard to predict, right? Because it's kudos to Isaiah, and it's kudos to Tom Thibodeau, which maybe I don't want to celebrate him, right? I don't want to give him, but he put him in the position, right? Even when Mitch got back healthy, he didn't start Mitch. He left Isaiah in that position. We have to kind of acknowledge Tibbs there for doing the right thing, right? And Isaiah, with that opportunity, holy moly, right? The guy played bonkers. The guy was awesome for us, and he was finally healthy. You know, when he came to us, he had the ankle injuries. So my point to that is I kind of got to give him, I had to take some points away because we are so exposed at that center position right now. We are really in a great position to make a legit run in our starting center. And Mitch is lovable. What are you gonna say? Like, he's got that. It's almost like weird to say he still has boyish charm at his age. He's the guy on the team that's been with the team the longest. That's the most tenured Knick, right? But he's got that way about him that, you know, he just comes across as this lovable kid, right? But, you know, some of the drawbacks there is that he is this lovable kid. He can't set a screen to save his life. Like, he can't set a screen. This is a basic basketball function, right? But he can't set a screen to save his life. And unfortunately, this is through no fault of his own. He's had his challenges with his health, right? And this is the starting center on a team that Leon Rose not. Like you said, like you itemized before you asked me the question, he's landed Mikal Bridges, an expensive land, but he landed him. He landed OG Anunoby when nobody saw that coming, right? Paid OG Anunoby, got him at a discount, right? Really set the table wonderfully. But we find ourselves exposed at that center position. We signed Precious Achiuwa today or yesterday, and it's tough. So I'm going to say that if it's a grade, though, it's still a A- or B+. I'm kind of stuck there. I'm really disturbed about that center position. I think we're very vulnerable there. But yeah, man, I think he's done a great job. I think the other thing too that you mentioned about Jalen Brunson, and I got to be honest here, I wasn't so excited when we signed Jalen Brunson. I kind of looked at him and expected I was going to get what's the Van Vliet, right? The guy that went from Vliet, yeah. I kind of looked at Jalen Brunson like, all right, we're gonna do a Fred Van Vliet here, but the holy moly, what Jalen? No, listen, never mind the play, because what he does, I don't want to call it herky jerky, but he knows how to use his skill set. He knows how to create contact. He knows how to create space. Mm-hmm. He's not doing this with some sort of outstanding athleticism. You know, he's doing it with skill. When he gets into his routine, when he gets into a little cha-cha, and you got to deal with him, right? He hits you with one move, you come back, he gets in your butt in the air, he's using the body. Talented kid, right? Talented guy. But I when you look at him, I'm like, okay, we paid all this money for Fred Van Vliet, right? All that to the side. What I didn't expect, the leadership, right? The intangibles. Nobody in the Knicks stratosphere can tell you that Julius Randle wasn't positively impacted by Jalen Brunson's presence. He took some pressure off of Julius. He let Julius be him because Jalen has that demeanor that he doesn't need to be the focus of attention. One of the things that he made it a point to say when he came here was that he's not a hero. He's not a savior, I should say. Right? He's not here to save the organization. I don't know if you remember that or not, but he said that in the press conference early. But what has he done? Not that he saved this organization, but he has helped be a foundational piece to turn this organization around. Left that money on the table, right? Okay, fine. The tangibles that I talked about before, the leadership. For me, man, that goes such a long way. Is it that's the godson for Leon Rose, right? Like, I don't know. But you have to give Leon Rose all the credit in the world for recognizing that and putting those pieces around him. So yeah, I'm gonna say like an A-. Actually, I'm gonna leave it at A-.
A-. I agree. A- for me is exactly where I would have it, because you do have to acknowledge the Hartenstein situation. It does leave a problem there. Now, it leaves a major problem. And I mean, you look at the show, you look at the thumbnail, you look at O's face. I mean, you know where we're going with this. The main topic of today's show is this exact problem, because I agree with you. We got a problem, a major problem at the center position.
You see, I don't mean to cut you off, but you see, we agree on some things and we disagree on other things.
Yeah.
So we're going to have the conversation, baby. We're going to have the conversation.
And that's exactly what I love, because, again, that's how you help everybody else grow their knowledge, because sometimes they may not even be thinking what you and I are thinking about. They have their own preference, and then they take something from what we say, and I love that. But Mitchell Robinson is a problem. And I'm going to get a lot of hate on this. I continue to get hate. I continue to be called a Mitchell Robinson hater. And I always have to preface my comments by saying I don't hate Mitchell Robinson. I hate the injury history that Mitchell Robinson has. Because how can I justify feeling happy and excited about that starting center when I think probably maybe 25 to 30 games, he's probably good to miss? How can I feel happy about that? And then I look at the backup center situation. And when I look up the backup center situation, I see Precious Achiuwa, 6'9". Some people have him as 6'8". Then Jericho Sims, a man can jump inside the paint, grab something, and then land positionless, deer in the headlights, ball up for 5 seconds looking around. And then the advantage that you had from getting the rebound now gone. And now you have to reset with now 14 less seconds left on the clock. So we've seen this from the Knicks big man. I agree with you. It is a problem. We didn't solve it. Achiuwa does not solve it. I don't care what anybody wants to say. Achiuwa does not solve your backup situation. He's like a crutch because you couldn't do anything else. We have to acknowledge that. Okay? It's okay to be happy with the team and acknowledge what they have. And this is the situation that we're in right now. Precious Achiuwa is a crutch in case Robinson goes down. But you don't know if he's going to give you the same play he gave you last time. You don't know what's going to happen. So for me, until the Knicks are able to fill this void of having somebody who can start and play good minutes off the bench as a backup, they are always going to be having that question mark of going into each game. What if? What if Robinson goes down? What if this happens? And for the people who say the Randle stuff, man, the people who say that Julius Randle should be at the 5, I don't even want to have the conversation about that. But we can go into that. But let's start the conversation off really where it is in terms of the problem, the major problem at center, which is, in my opinion, Mitchell Robinson. Now, I agree with you. You can't go further from there. But as the Knicks right now, if it is the major problem, how do you even address it at this point? Because I think your window to do that is closed now.
Yeah. You know, it's really as simple as hoping he can remain healthy. Here's the thing. The rebounder that he is and the defensive presence that he is in the paint. If you look at points in the paint with him and points in the paint without him, there's a significant bump there, right? So with all of his limitations, he still makes us a contender. The wild card is his health. And the problem is none of us really have that faith that he's going to be able to remain healthy. I think a guy like that, like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did in his career, where he went to yoga and really started doing that exercise. I think that's a guy, even OG Anunoby, those are two guys that would benefit from an exercise like yoga. The season right now, and that's the worst part about it. Mitch's a lovable guy. You love who he is as a person. You love his enthusiasm for the game. You hate the fact that he doesn't master his craft. He doesn't have that Mamba mentality. He's not the one. Like I said, he can't set a screen to save his life. Save his life, and this might be his 6th or 7th year in the league. Like, dude, what are you doing, dog? Like, it's a great truck. I love your truck, and the nice shiny rims on it, and that's awesome. But dog, set a pick, dog. So I don't need to see you doing the highlights with the little handle in the LA Fitness gym with the dudes that are like my height. No, dog. No, I need you to set a pick, dog. Set a screen, right? And let Jalen do what he does. But
Right.
you're gonna run off of the roll, and you're ready to roll to the rim, and you haven't properly set the pick. So now Jalen's going back to his cha-cha because you haven't really set the pick to free him. So I love him, and I got my issues with him because those are the little things that he can do, and he doesn't. He doesn't. 6, 7 years in the league, this is who he is. Back in the day, my brother, I think you noticed, my brother's a diehard Nets fan.
Sorry about
We
that.
go to games. Yeah, we go to games. Shout out to him. And he would tell me back then, Jared Allen is going to be better than Mitchell Robinson. And I'm like, you bugging. He was like, bro, even right now, you're getting a baby hook out of Jared Allen. And all you're getting out of Mitch just rebounds. That's it. And he, the lob threat. But Jared could do that too. And I'm like, Mitch is going to be better than him. You know what? Fast forward today, my brother was right. My brother was right. I mean, Jared Allen has an all-star appearance. He just signed today a ridiculous contract. And there are people that say when they match up with each other, Mitch gets the best of him. Yeah, okay. So when Mitch is healthy, and we cross our fingers for that, we'll see. But yeah, man, Mitch has got to get in that gym. He's got to do the things that he needs. Improve the free throw shooting.
Yeah.
Put in the work there. I later for the TikTok videos and arguing with fools on the internet that want to say things about you, and then you want to ask them to knuckle up later for all that, dog. Go get in the gym and do what you got to do and be the center that you can be. You have all the ability in the world to be a real monster in this league. And you're kind of messing around and being happy with the Louisiana. You look at Louisiana, man. Louisiana gave us Robert Parrish. Louisiana gave us Willis Reed. Louisiana gave us Bill Russell. You in that tradition, dog. You came out of that water. You came out of that mud. Be that dude, dog. Go get in the gym and be that guy. But he wants to show us monster trucks, man. Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Hey, he has lizards too. Trying to sell a lizard.
Yes.
Trying to help a brother
Hey,
out.
Mitch, I love you. Don't hate me, Mitch. I'm just keeping it a buck with you, man. I'm just keeping it a buck with you, man. Get in that gym and do what you got to do, boy.
Listen, man, I agree with you, man. I think he's in the gym. The problem is they don't translate. Oh, we've seen him shoot threes. We've seen him work on his dribble. We've seen him run. We've seen him do all these things to work on his body, his conditioning. All these things. It's twofold, right? Go ahead.
You go to work.
Yeah.
You the chef. You the executive chef at work, right? When you off duty, I don't want to see you with the mop in the back in the stock room, showing me that you a great mopper. No, dog. I don't need you to show me highlights of you mopping, dog. I need you to get in the kitchen and scallions, chop the scallions up and flip. I want you to barbecue an egg, dog. Go barbecue an egg for me, man. I need do what you're supposed to do, dog. I don't want to see all that LA Fitness stuff with dudes that's my height, man. That don't do nothing for me, man.
Yeah.
Do what the team needs you to do, baby. Then we can go run to this chip. And then we can talk shit to everybody.
Right.
Because we'll be on that type of time. But he over there doing the bacalao shit, man. Later for that bacalao shit, man. You trying to get likes on Instagram. You trying to get likes on your TikTok. Stop all that, dog. He grew up.
He needs
about yours.
He needs to absolutely have a more focused on his game versus the social media attention that he gets. And the ability to him to shut off that needs to happen a lot easier, because shutting it off doesn't mean you post something and then you shut it off. Shutting it off means you just go quiet, right? It's very, very subtle when some people say, I'm about to go off. How about you just do it and let people figure it out when they figure it out? Why you have to announce the things you do before you do it,
So I had, when it comes to Mitch, man, and I got love for Mitch. I hate Joel Embiid. It's funny that I had conversations, I don't want to mention anybody, but shout out to Deej. I've had conversations with Deej, right? Because at one point I was into Joel Embiid is skilled, man.
Yeah.
Like Joel Embiid is a skilled basketball player. You just cannot take away anything from what that man is. But what he did to Mitch, I lost so much respect. I lost so much respect for Joel Embiid as a man, right? As a man. Like for me, now you owe me 5. Like remember Melo was waiting for homie. Now you owe me 5. Well, how are you gonna do that? This is Mitch's paycheck. And the league turned it back. The league did nothing to defend Mitchell Robinson in that scenario. They basically let him go through whatever he go. And everybody turned the other way because it was Joel Embiid. I swear to God that nothing really bothered me as much. That's why when it comes to Mitchell Robinson, I do feel away. I want him to go be that guy. Because when you see Joel, man, you need to give him that work. He needs to respect you, though. That foolishness that he did, I don't say that crazy, man, but Mitchell, at low key, man, everybody's focused on Randle, and everybody's saying all these things about Randle. Mitchell Robinson is the linchpin, baby. Mitchell Robinson is going to be the one that dictates how far we really go. Because if he's healthy and he's committed and doing what he has to do on the court, we could really run the table. We really do what everybody wants us to do, man. But the kids got to grow up now, man. You can't later for all that other stuff, man. I need you to grow up.
And this is where the major problem comes from, because he's not going to. And I know people don't want to hear this, but I say it a lot. And sometimes I don't care if people agree with me or not. I don't say things for people to agree with me or not. It's not why I say them. I say them because I believe in them. Mitchell Robinson has long due overstayed his welcome here. Oh, shout out to the great. Shout out to the great. I hope Walt will sometime come on this show. That's one of my goats, bro. One of my goats.
No, you made it. I met him once. Yeah. Again, not that I want to mention anybody, but shout out to Danny B. Called me in a pinch, and we ended up going to the game. And it was we played New Orleans, right. And there was an anniversary for the team. And I got. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry to do this on your time, but
no, you good.
We went there. I met Clark Frazier, man.
That's so amazing.
Yeah, it was. I didn't get to meet Willis Reed. He was ill, and then eventually, that.
Sick.
God bless him. Rest in peace. He passed away. But yeah, man, like you think about Clyde, and you think about that team, and that same kind of synergy right now is happening with our team.
Yep.
That same kind of synergy. Maybe they went about it a different way. Maybe they did, something a little bit unorthodox compared to what other teams are doing. Because who goes out and recruits an entire college team? Like, granted, a championship team, but who does that? Like, you don't see that anywhere in the league. But the Knicks have done that. But guess what? They've done that. They've made themselves contenders. So
appreciate you. And listen, they have, and they've done something that the energy, like you said, we haven't felt an energy like this. I feel like in my entire lifetime, I haven't felt anything like this with this team. It's special. I don't know how else to describe it. I've seen so many iterations of Knicks teams over the years, and it's so funny that we're going to go into the next topic here of the Knicks of past and now and how things have changed. And the reason I want to do that, just for people who are listening and watching, the main reason I want to go through the past, the present, is because some of our younger viewers, younger audience, doesn't understand the level of commitment, sacrifice, and suffering in terms of what it meant to be a Knicks fan. And I'm talking about, after the great old days in the 90s were over, and it was the horrible days of the 2000s, all the way going to maybe the wonderful 1 year we had with Melo, maybe, because even the trade year, you weren't even happy because you thought you gave up too much, number one, and you didn't know if it was going to work. You didn't know if Stat and him was going to work, if the health was going to work, so many question marks. So you couldn't even be happy at the time when all of this happened. So I want to make something clear, because people thought the 2013 run was that wasn't supposed to happen. Nobody even predicted that. We weren't in that. That was never, ever supposed to happen. Jason Kidd came out of nowhere, became somebody that we needed. I remember that season very, very well, because I watched every freaking game. I never missed a game for that season, for every season, but mostly that season though. But I do want to go to that point, because the Knicks of old and new. You've watched this team for a number of years. You've seen so many different versions of this team.
1985, baby. Since 1985, I've been watching the games on WWOR. Shout out to Pat Cummings and AC Green, who got into a fight when the Knicks played the Lakers on Channel 9 at about 11:15 at night. And my father was like, "What are you screaming about when you should be asleep?" And I'm because they're fighting, man. Pat Cummings snuffed them. And anyway, so yeah, man, I've been watching since 1985. That's all I want to say.
So I wanted to go real quick we're gonna go to the players, and I want to get to the players, but I want to get to the front office, specifically James Dolan, before we get to comparing the two in terms of differences, because I think it's my opinion, but I think you can't understand the differences between the two until you understand one of the main players that caused almost all of these differences, especially during a time when he was involved a lot. Some of our people don't recognize the fact that there was a time, was right around the time when Phil Jackson came around, where James Dolan started to take his hand off of the Knicks. But he had a grip on this franchise for years. And that grip led the Knicks to do a lot of things that we probably shouldn't have done. I can still remember in my head when the Knicks got Andrea Bargnani, and the next day, there was a report that came out saying the Knicks could get Kyle Lowry for a first-round pick And I was thinking to myself, so we could have just not done that and done that. Could you imagine how the franchise would have been different with the Kyle Lowry who was motivated after that season when he was called fat and out of shape, and he lit the league on fire for the next coming years? I can only imagine the things that were different, but I do remember James Dolan and the stranglehold at times he had on this Knicks organization. You were there. You saw it firsthand. Can you just help our audience understand what it was like living in a world where you were a fan of the Knicks, but James Dolan, the owner, was constantly involved in what they were doing?
Yeah, it's tough because, I was younger. I was a younger man. And when I got frustrated with the team at a point, not that I stopped being a fan, but I kind of left it alone. The Yankees were doing good, and I got lost in my Yankee fandom because it was just, the Marty Collins era, the Marcus Landry, Jesus Christ, it was tough. But you think, just to kind of sum it up, and you know what? Shout out to Chuck D. In 2021, Chuck D narrated a podcast called the Shattered Podcast, and he basically went through 20 years of he really summed it up nicely. I'm probably not going to do as good a job as they did on that podcast. The Shattered Podcast is by The Athletic. If you haven't checked it out, you're a Knicks fan and you want to know about that time and that era, it's a great archive to kind of go through. It's not long. It's maybe 8 or 9 episodes. And again, it's narrated by Chuck D. They did a really good job there. They kind of showed you some of the underbelly that speaks to what you said about James Dolan, who James Dolan is, some of the things that take place behind the scenes. They kind of get into that, and I don't want to kind of mention any of that stuff, but check out that podcast. You can learn about that. As far as that era, man, as a fan, it was tough. You think about Isaiah, the Isaiah era, and you think about how at a point we were just a carousel for coaches, short-tempered. We needed a win now. Everything was just, we needed to move now. And I think Donnie Walsh. Yeah. I don't remember Donnie, but I remember Donnie Walsh.
My favorite GMs ever.
Yeah. I felt like he was the first guy that got me back interested in the Knicks because I liked what he was doing. He was making, excuse me. I think the beers are catching up with me. But yeah, Donnie Walsh was really the first guy that got me back interested in the Knicks because I believed in what they were doing. And to your point, when Donnie hit that point with Carmelo Anthony, and the talk was that he would end up going to the Nets. I don't know if it was real or not. It probably was real because Melo wanted what he wanted.
Yep.
And Melo's always been that kind of guy. No shade to him, but King gonna do King shit, and he was gonna get what he wanted. One way or another. James Dolan got involved, and James Dolan made sure that the trade went through at whatever the cost was at the time. When Donnie Walsh knew, hey, let's just wait till the summer, and we kind of set ourselves up this way. So, let's just see. But, that was who James Dolan was. That did not change up until, like you said, Phil Jackson. Phil obviously was a mistake. I think Phil mailed it in. Phil really wanted the LA job, and he was going to get the LA job because one of the unique things about the Knicks, and it still holds true today, even though the result is a little different, is from Phil Jackson to Steve Mills to Leon Rose, the Knicks hired 3 consecutive rookie general managers, president of basketball operations, guys that had no idea what they were doing sitting in that seat because they had never done it before. So there's an impact to all of that. And to everything that James Dolan was, that he got involved, that he stuck his hand in a cookie jar and he did all these things that we hear about. And again, you can kind of get all that on the Shattered Podcast. I really don't want to talk about that stuff. You can see that when he did get to the point with Leon, he fell back, right? Even with Phil, he fell back. He let them do what they had to do. When he got involved with Phil, he was like, all right, this is enough. He ate a lot of money to make Phil go away.
Yeah.
I forgot what the number was, something ridiculous. Even with David Fizdale, ate a lot of money. I believe it was $22 million, which was unprecedented.
Crazy.
$22 million. Shout out to David Fizdale. You got that bag. Good luck to you. And then you fast forward to Leon Rose now. It's the 3rd rookie president in a row, but Leon Rose, he was smart guy. He learned, he watched, he kept Scott Perry around. Scott Perry's the guy that was in Orlando. Scott Perry was a guy that mentored in Detroit under Joe Dumars, a championship organization. Mm-hmm. Scott Perry was a guy that went to Sacramento for a cup of tea and saw how that works. So now you're talking about a guy that has seen the inner workings of multiple organizations and understands how things operate. You look at Steve Mills. No, not Steve Mills. Steve Mills, Ivy League educated, New York guy. I always look at him like Icarus. I think he was the guy that flew too close to the sun. I think he was a Knicks fan like we were. I think he really loved the team, but you got to run the team like a president. You can't run the team like a fan. And I think he was running the team like a fan. You look at what he did with Tim Hardaway. What Phil Jackson did to Tim Hardaway was terrible. There's no way on earth that Tim Hardaway should be at Walt Clyde Frazier's Wine and Dine and learn he got traded on TV with a bunch of fans when they find out. Like, that's disrespectful to him. He didn't deserve that.
Yeah.
But that's what happened to Phil Jackson. So I understand what Phil was trying to do. He was trying to correct the wrong there. But guess what? We're not in the business of correcting previous wrongs. We have to move forward. You wanted to sign around, but I don't want to talk about Steve Mills. Let's just leave that alone. But
please, God, don't talk about Steve Mills, bro. Talk about a useless figure, bro. I've never seen somebody more useless in my life, bro. I promise you.
Steve, Ivy League educated, he came from the finance world. I'm sure that he is still. I think he bought the Old Felt Forum, which James Dolan probably flipped for 5 times what it was worth. Steve Mills, God bless him, he has a value. Again, I don't think it was president of basketball operations for him. I just don't think that was it for him. God bless him. Like I said, I'm sure he's helping James make plenty of dollars in other areas, like raising the price of popcorn. No, I didn't say that. But, you fast forward to Leon now. Leon was shrewd. Leon was smart. Leon fell back. He learned. He watched. He kept Scott around, who had all this experience in the league. And you fast forward to today, and you see that it paid dividends, right? You see that he's learned the inner workings. He's learned how to get things done that nobody saw coming. Like you mentioned, nobody expected the OG trade. Nobody expected the Mikal trade. These are the things that he's gotten done. So shout out to Leon Rose and shout out to James Dolan for learning to let the people that he's hired, even though he's always been a loyal guy, letting the people that he's hired do what they're supposed to do. So
see, didn't I tell you, folks? Didn't I tell you if you stuck around, you pushed through those little technical difficulties that everybody has, it was going to get to this point. The point where I wanted it to get to, where you guys could hear my guy spit the knowledge. Because yes, we do disagree on some things, but one thing we will never disagree on, because we freaking lived it, was James Dolan and Steve Mills. Oh my goodness. So grateful to have you say that. Because no, listen, you know how it is. Sometimes you feel like you're on an island by yourself because nobody wants to say these things anymore. It's like either they try to forget it happened, which I can understand why you do that, or it's like they forget the reality because they want to live in the current reality. And I can understand that too. It's a lot happier times now. So I can understand. You don't want to go back. So I get it.
Man, Steve Mills, Ivy League educated, New York guy out of Long Island. You talk about Dr. J in Long Island. If you know the New York roots, man, if you've done your homework, and I there's so much history.
Oh my
there's so
goodness.
much. I mean, we're not even gonna do that, but there's so much history in New York. Steve Mills was a part of that too. There's things that people don't understand about Steve Mills. He was a New York guy, man. People who loved and appreciated him, and in a lot of ways, it did kind of make sense. But like I said, I look at him like Icarus, man. I think he was the fan that flew too close to the sun. I don't think he should have ever been in that position, man. But thank God those days are over, and we are where we are now.
Talking about the dog days are over. I made a video recently about Langston Galloway. Got a lot of hate for that video, actually. The only reason I mentioned it was because he's trying to make an NBA comeback. Saw him on Team USA Select Team. Shout out to Langston Galloway. Still young. Still can develop and learn. Although I've never seen somebody leave the NBA, go international, come back and have a great career. That's never happened before. He could be the first, though. But never seen it happen before. However, when I mentioned it, I thought it was funny because, people were hating on the fact that, I'm talking about Langston Galloway. But in reality, I could have mentioned, Tony Douglas or Kadeem Allen or like so many of these other guys that that makes me sad mentioning those guys. People don't want to hear this, but Langston Galloway, for me, I had hope. He gave me hope. I watched games because of him, because that's the only thing I had. I know some people who used to watch during those days know what I'm talking about. There's only certain things you could grasp at. Can you speak about where this team is now from where they came from before? Obviously, you can go back as far as you want to go back because there's so many different versions of this team we could talk about. But all of those versions, and finally, it took a while, 2024, 2025 season, looks like the Knicks are finally in contender status. But the rosters it took to get there were pretty long. What do you feel about that in terms of the roster they have now in comparison to where they were before?
Well, it's funny, and I'll tell you this, right? Shout out to the folks that are in the chat that ever tweeted or ever posted Free Murray. If you don't know what that hashtag means, if you don't know what that's about, fine. But there were those of us that went through the Wichita Shockers era, where you got Ron Baker, you got the kid that shot himself at the strip, not shot himself, but he got shot at the strip club. Damn, his cousin played on my football team. What was the name of the kid that got shot at his nephew, his kid Savvy. This is his nephew. He played for me, won a championship together. From Wichita to Shock,
I'm drawing a blank myself.
yo, not a butter. Clean Anthony Early.
Oh, okay. Oh, jeez. That took a while.
So,
okay. Yeah.
I'll go back there, right? So Torrey Murray, right? Like we've gone. There was a time that me and Brutus would go back and forth because we really thought that Trey Burke was going to be the answer. There were times that we
running in the stand. You remember the video?
iterations.
He was running in the sand. Everybody was so hyped. He was running in the sand.
He was running in the sand dunes in California. They were going to teach him how to play D. Anyway, you know, and no disrespect to him, but
shout out to Burke.
Yeah, like, listen, all things said, the average NBA career is about 5 years. Trey Burke's made a lot of money in the NBA, and that's because of his skill. So it's no shade to him. But to answer your question about what we've been through, like, forget about the past. Let me tell you something right now.
Yeah.
You look at last season. Last season, we had three teams. We had the team from opening day to December 30th with RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We had the team from December 30th to about January 17th or whenever it was that Julius went down and then eventually OG went down.
Right.
That team was amazing. That team like a world beater. That team was ready for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That was the second team. And then we had the team that took us to the seventh game of the second round, depleted, on fumes, gave you the fight, gave you the heart, left it all on the field for you, and just gave you pride as a Knicks fan to see that your team was out there giving it all they got, because you as a fan, since you were hashtagging Free Murray, right? Since you were watching Clean Anthony Early get shot, you know, since you've been, when we won 17 games opening night, I was in the Garden. I had a very good seat. Trey Young was right in front of me. I was recording him because it was his first game in the NBA. We blew them out. It was like 121-80. And there was no way we had Enes Kanter at the 5. We had Lance Thomas at the 4. Frank Ntilikina, and I predicted, this is one of the few things that I've gotten correct on Twitter, but I predicted that Frank would start at the 3. Yeah. And then it was Tim Hardaway and Trey Burke in the backcourt. And we won that game. And then the following game, we played the Nets, and David Fizdale felt like he wanted to have a teaching moment. And with the game on the line, he let Tim Hardaway Jr. defend Karis LeVert, and Karis LeVert cooked him like a couple of slabs of bacon, but it just was awful. But you look at the team that we just had this season, and we went through 3 different renditions, and all of those teams fought, man. So we're in a different place, man. We're in a place where we have a core that they're going all out, they're leaving it all on the court, and that's all you ever wanted as a fan, man. There were games that I watched where Enes Kanter pretended to fight off a screen because I was sitting so close. I could see these things. I was fortunate. At that time, I had a client that was a Knicks fan, and the team was so bad he wasn't going, and he was giving me the seats. And bro, his seats were club seats. I was literally under the rim on the basket side, and bro, you see so much there. You see the things that the camera don't pick up. Like you see Enes Kanter pretending to fight through a screen. And it's just all this extra. But he's not trying to get through the screen, bro. He don't care.
You want contact?
It was like it was so educational for me, right? So you go from that, man, to guys pretending to fight through screens, to you got Jalen Brunson playing on a hobbled leg, a bad ankle, giving you everything he's got. It's night and day, man. So it's night and day, man.
And I agree with you 100%. I've watched a lot of those Knicks teams as well too. Not as many as you, but definitely a lot to my own. And I can remember. You know the feeling you're waiting till the end of the season, right? When the playoffs end, like everything's done, so you can finally hit reset to be hopeful again. Like, okay, all right, it's over. We can, another year, we got this time. We're going to do it this time. And then you get closer to the season, and then the signings that don't really mean anything, like you know they don't mean nothing. But if you don't say anything about them, it's like it's worse. So I can remember when the Knicks made the Randle signing, and for me, that was a pretty good signing. I thought it was a good signing at the time. A lot of people were criticizing it because of what we should have gotten. We didn't get. Max Kellerman was famously on First Take with the jersey, and it had Randle with Scott's tape on the back. So, I mean, obviously, we know.
Brutal times, man.
It's
brutal
crazy.
Times.
It's so funny to think that we came. That's not even, and we're not even talking about like 20 years ago. We're talking about like it's less than 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, 5 or 6 years ago.
Laughing stock of the league to now legitimate contender in the Eastern Conference.
It's to that point you just made, and I know we buried Steve Mills, but now I'm going to resurrect him for a second. If there was a moment in Steve Mills' administration, I'll call it, that I feel he really blew something, you know, I work in corporate America. You have to know how to handle information. You have to know how to react to information. Information comes to you, and if you handle it correctly, you can really be a star or you can be the GOAT.
Yep.
When Steve Mills blew smoke up James Dolan's derriere and sent him running on with Michael K about how confident that they were going to land KD. When Steve Mills decided it was the right thing to do to put Kevin Durant's image on the season ticket marketing material in the background that the league penalized him for, bro, when I tell you he was a fan like me and you running the team, it's you got to know how to be. And again, it's not to kick Steve Mills, but it's just when you look at that era and you look at where we are now, you really appreciate Leon Rose. You really appreciate Jalen Brunson. These are guys that they know what they want to do and they know about how to get that done. Whether they win or not is sidebar, but they're doing the right things to put themselves in position. The rest is the game. The rest, you play the game, baby. It's competition. You can't, nothing's guaranteed in this world. That's why some people, they run around, they say championship and bust, and they're talking out of their rear end because, you know, it sounds good to them to say these things.
Right.
Nah, bro, you play, I'm not scared of competition. When I coach football, whatever it was, I'm never scared of competition. You do what you're going to do, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and it's going to be what it is. Right now, these guys are competing. I love that, man. I love that for our team. I really do.
And it's been missing for a while, that feeling of that level
100%.
of competition. You could always
100%.
feel good about your team, and I've always felt good about the Knicks. I could always look at the silver lining, if you will, right? But I always wanted my team to feel like a legit. Is it working? I feel like, oh, that's what's happening. That's what I hear in the background. Okay.
Oh, so you do hear it?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
I was wondering.
It's all good. It's all good. But what I was trying to say though is that.
Muted.
Oh, good. Even better. Even better. Yeah, there you go. Oh, I see even better. Talk now. Oh, I can't hear you. You guys heard it on.
Oh shit! So everything was coming through here all along?
I guess so. Look at that.
Right,
you learned something. Listen, this live stream has been a lot of first on this live stream. So I gotta say, for everybody who's with us, and by the way, I think we've held firm to about 100 people. Close to 100 people still watching.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of it.
Almost 1,000 views, and we're still going at this point.
Bro,
really appreciate everybody on the stream right now.
I'm getting text messages from people that I know.
Yeah.
Literally, I don't want to share the screen, but I've gotten text messages. Yeah, Little Eddie, I know you watching. Little Eddie played cornerback for me. He also played for Underrated.
Yeah.
Little Eddie was dead nice when he played, and a great basketball player. Shout out to you. He follows you. He's watching the live, and he sent me a message. It popped up on the screen. Shout out to Little Eddie.
Hey, I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody who's fans and everybody who watches and everybody who checks out the Knicks Recap channel. You know, we got the regular live streams every Friday. We now have the Knicks Live, which is going to be with content creators. So all those, you know, those collaborations you want to see, I'm just saying, you might see one of your favorites pop up here. You never know. But that's the best thing about it, because I know people wanted that other content. We're going to get that. And the debate content that you and I have, especially with that Randle part that we talked about, which I want to get back to again, because I want to get the people who haven't heard that part to hear it as well, too. And I also want to clip that stuff together to make sure we have a lot of that content going forward as well, too, because the live's not only one thing. The clips are another thing to make sure we get your message out there in terms of how you view the team and also how this show can help other people. So I want to be able to do that. Go ahead.
Can I jump off camera for 1 minute? I'll be right back. Can I do that?
Absolutely,
right,
absolutely.
I'm so sorry.
No, let me know when you're back, and I'll just hear it from the earpiece on my end.
Literally 1 minute. I'll be right back.
No problem. Let's go to the chat while I'm waiting for O to come back. So let's go to the chat real quick and see what you guys have to say about the stream today. I had to mute James. I did see James here, but I had to mute him really quickly, and the only reason I had to mute him was because I saw a couple people talking back to him. He was trying to monopolize the chat. So I gave him a quick timeout for 5 minutes. I didn't give him a 30-minute timeout this time. It's a 5-minute timeout. So sorry, James. Shout out to John. Shout out to Brianna. I appreciate you, and thank you so much for joining the live stream. I appreciate your comments and everybody who's watching right now. Let's go through some of them real quick. Stop Flossing TV said Cleanthony Early, I think was his name. You were right before us, brother. I really appreciate that. If my chat was working on my end where I could show it on screen, we would have saw that a long time ago. I'm not sure what happened on the setup here, but we're working with it, so I appreciate that. Let's see here. So we have Knicks 100. A GM says, let's see here. You need a shooter to replace Randle or a younger version of Randle who actually understands basic basketball principles, unlike Randle. You see, Knicks GM, I can understand what you're saying with that regarding Randle, and I can understand why some people even may want to criticize Randle and criticize what Randle means to this team. What's up? Oh, I see you back. But here's the thing. With regards to Randle, even though people may want shooters when it comes to Randle, it doesn't mean it's going to solve the problem. Julius Randle, and I'm glad we're talking about this now as O's back, because we're going to probably have a debate about this. But Julius Randle's skill set, where he's best at is bully ball inside, drawing 2 or 3 defenders inside. So that way he has the vision, because he can already pass the ball, has the vision to be able to pass to the perimeters, to the wings, wherever you have an open shooter. Didn't have that really last year. You can't say RJ Barrett's a consistent 3-point shooter. He's not. You got OG there now. You got Mikal Bridges there now. To an extent, you got Dante DiVincenzo there now. We have different shooters to really utilize their abilities. And one thing that's not getting talked about enough, is that we finally have the stars on the team, or I should say, we have the players on our team that complement our stars. Jalen and Randle do their damage the most inside the paint. Not saying they can't do anything else otherwise, but they do the most damage when they're inside the paint. And if we all know that, then the best thing you can do to support that is to extend their range of having the ability to go one-on-one. Because if you're going one-on-one with Randle or Brunson, you're getting destroyed. You can't go one-on-one against Brunson. He's going to cook you. He's cooking double teams. There's no way you're going one-on-one against him. And then Julius Randle. Bully ball Randle, good luck. Throw one person at him. Throw one person and see what happens. So in your opinion, when it comes to the Julius Randle situation, all right, I say that they're best when you have the current roster that they have right now. I think they did a great job giving them the players that have the skill set to basically maximize our star skill set in Brunson and Randle. To that, what do you say?
I think it's going to be an interesting season because there are going to be a lot of dynamics at play. Some of the dynamics on the court have to do with chemistry with Mikal and the guys that he already knows, plus Randle. Some of the other dynamics, and I hope people don't hate me for saying this, but this is a business. This is not about feelings. This is not about fandom. If Julius doesn't get the contract that he wants, he's going to play for the contract that he wants, if you understand what I'm saying. And as far as Julius, 2 years ago, he made the decision to bring the ruckus to the rim. In the past, Eric Spoelstra would get away with putting Gabe Vincent, I think the guy's name, because the Gabe, I think he's in LA now. He would put Vincent on him. Troy Vincent was, I'm bugging out. So Gabe Vincent, and he would fade away 17 feet out on Vincent. Dog, now he's turning to the rim and bringing the ruckus to the rim. Mm-hmm. I mean, the highlight that everyone sees is that Jason Tatum dunk where he slams it on Tatum. Tatum is leaning in and being aggressive, and he brings the drama to him. He brings the energy, brings the ruckus to the rim. That Julius Randle, unstoppable. When he decides to be that guy, you can't deal with him because he has a handle, right? Yeah, and the ISO ball that we play, the chemistry you saw without Randle there, with guys, the ball's moving, whatever. That's one of the things that's going to be interesting. What happens now? Again, I don't want to call it a contract here, right? But he's going to be looking for his payday. He didn't get the payday that he wanted, so he's going to have to show some things on the court. What does that dynamic turn into? Right? That's something to really think about. But what he is now, when he's bringing the drama to the rim, bro, you can't really deal with him. You can't put these smaller defenders on him anymore and think you're going to be like Eric Spoelstra got away with that 2 years ago. He's not going to be able to do that today. Because Julius is bringing the drama to the rim, man, and I love that version of him. Hopefully he continues to do that, and he does it within the structure of what we're doing, and it works out for everybody. But, yeah, man, I think Julius is going to be a beast this year, man. I really do.
I think he's going to have, contract year. I think that's all you got to really say.
Contract year.
He's going to go monster. He's always been a Julius has been a monster his entire career with the Knicks. He's just done it differently. In some years, you didn't like the way he did it. In some years, you did. But at the end of the day, the numbers are the numbers. The only difference is now the numbers are way more impactful than they ever were before because they're contributing to winning. Now, obviously, that has to do with Jalen Brunson being here, the roster being constructed the way it is. I mean, the roster construction alone is why I praise Leon Rose so much. He got the two best wings in the entire game on the same team.
Insane, bro.
How do you get Mikal and OG? You know what this... I don't think people understand what switching means in the NBA because oftentimes when it happens, it's always a disadvantage. Do you understand that switch, there's no disadvantage in that switch? They both can guard 2 through 5 if they wanted to.
I got to tell you, right, there was a point, and I know there's some people that follow me and they know the history here, and I don't care if I'm end up with egg on my face, but there was a point that I was really upset with Tom Thibodeau because in Quentin Grimes and Cam Reddish era on the team, you know the minutes they got on the floor? It might have been 10 minutes for their tenure with the Knicks. These were two guys that were elite out in the wing. They played the passing lanes. They had the athleticism. Now, right? All right, later for that. It happened, whatever the reasons, the politics behind the scenes that played out the way that they played out. Shout out to Cam, good luck to you. Shout out to Quentin, good luck to you. We got Mikal Bridges. It's almost like Scotty and Mike on the defensive end. These are guys that are going to be aggressive in the passing lanes. They're going to be in your face defensively, and you're not going to blow by them. They have enough range and length to really be problematic to you. Oh my God, I can't wait for the season to start, brother. I cannot wait for the season to start.
It's insane to me to think that, like, I'm thinking about, like, people are talking about defensively what they can do. How about offensively? We all understand that Mikal doesn't do this point thing that he does with his hand because he likes to look with his hand when he shoots the ball. He does that because he's an assassin from 3. We also got OG Anunoby. Let's talk about his percentage from 3 at the corner. It's near 50%. Near 50% from 3. I'm not joking, OG.
I didn't even know that.
It's near 50% from the corner. It probably went down a little bit because he missed a couple. If it's not 50 anymore, 45, 43. If it's even if it's above 40. Above 40 in the league is ridiculous. And if you can pick your spots, and you already know, I already see defense is what they do. In my head, everybody collapses on Randle, Brunson, Dante. To an extent, you got Hart. To an extent, you got Mikal, and then OG. What are you going to do against that? There is nothing. The league should be frightened. I would be scared if I'm another team looking at the East right now. And here's something that nobody said, and I've said it in a couple of my videos, and I'll say it with you again because I want to get your opinion on it, O. The East has a new big 3. Boston, the Knicks, and Philly. The teams that used to be there were the Milwaukee Bucks, and I think to an extent, you could say the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're not there anymore. They're out of that top 3. I think it's firm right now that it's Boston, the Knicks, and the Sixers. What would you say to that?
I think the wild card there is the Bucks. The Bucks have some soul searching to do. Yeah. A lot of talent on the roster. How it meshes. From the things that I've read, they want to. I really wanted Robin Lopez, by the way, but they want to
Brooke
change.
Lopez or Robin?
What did I just say?
You said Robin.
Brooke, the one that was the net that's with Milwaukee now. Brooke is Brooke.
Yeah, it's
right?
Brooke, right? We want Robin again.
The beer making company.
We don't want Robin again. I'm good. Robin was actually pretty good.
Not Rolo. I don't need nobody fighting mascots. I meant Brooke. My bad. But I really wanted Brooke. I thought he still defends in the paint and he blocks. They want their front court to be more dynamic defensively because they're porous in that back court, right? They brought in the guy that threw the basketball. That he's out of the league now because they were trying to get some sort of defense in that back court. I can't think of the guy's. Oh, Beverly. So they brought him aboard, and they couldn't get the kind of defense. So what do they want to do? They want to become more dynamic in their front court defensively. So they were looking to move Brooke. They were looking to do some things. They couldn't do what they wanted to do. I find them to be a wild card. But to your point, yeah, I got to agree with you. I think that it is Boston. Maybe some Knicks fans will be upset at me, but I am going to say that right now I have Philly ahead of us.
Oh, you do?
I do. I absolutely do. I think that there's a lot of talent on that roster.
Oh, we got to pause there for a second. You absolutely do?
Yeah.
You think Philly's a better team?
Right now, yeah. I think they're top heavy, and I think an injury will change the complexion, but we're vulnerable that way too, so I can't really.
Not in the same way. Not even in close the same way.
Bro, we're talking about Tyrese Maxey, who's coming to his own.
Okay.
We're talking about a veteran point guard a veteran 2 guard that's a 2-way player, all-star, previous all-star in this league, and George. And then you still have the monster in the middle that I hate. I hate the dude. And they got rid of Tobias Harris. There's some things that are addition by subtraction. Tobias Harris was that they were trying to turn this guy into a 3-and-D guy, and this was a guy that was 3-level scorer. It never worked out for them, and they were paying him so much money. That's over for them. I think that there's going to be a dynamic that we're not accounting for, that is Tobias Harris off of that team. I think Tobias Harris was an anchor for them. I don't think he was happy there. I don't think that team was happy with him. There was so much money involved. They had to deal with it. They had to eat that money and go through what they had to go through. That's gone, man. Philadelphia, they've got a weight lifted off of their shoulders with that kid being gone, and they brought in Paul George. So I think that right now we have to give them the advantage over our team.
Why do we have to give them we don't have to give them anything. They got to first. They got to earn that advantage. Paul George is not 30 years old. Paul George is out almost 35, right? Or he's 35 right now, or close to
35.
it. Okay, 35 years old. The defense no longer there. I don't care what anybody has to say about the games played.
No, my boy says that too.
The magical games played last year, which everybody wants to focus on. How about you look at the season before that and the season before that, so we can get back to reality? Because sometimes what happens is there's a year thing that happens. Because Nerlens Noel was a great center one year, right? But it doesn't mean he's going to be a great center every year. So my whole thing with this is
So it's the big three. Give me your big three. What's the order you have for your big three?
I said it. It's Boston, Knicks, and Philly. Easy. Knicks are better than Philly. The Knicks are younger. That's why we're better, number one. And the younger pieces that we have are better. The only thing you can say is they have an MVP player. Sure, they have an MVP player. Cool. I've seen that MVP player who I absolutely wanted a summer ago because I love his skill set, to your point. But I've watched enough from him, and the respect factor, like we talked about in the playoffs, when he's pulling Mitchell Robinson's leg, he's bumping into Jalen Brunson aggressively and on purpose. You lose respect for people like that. You don't want to see them in New York. And if they came to New York, they'd probably be booed. We'd probably see what's happening to the Olympics right now to him right now. So, he's benched, by the way, for Team USA. Congratulations for Anthony Davis. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is Embiid used to be good. He probably can still be good, but he's never going to play a healthy season ever again. That's gone.
He'll
never play a healthy season again.
What did Embiid average against us in the playoffs? Do you remember?
I mean, I don't know his exact
ballpark it.
It's 25, 10, and 6 or something like that. And he was injured.
Okay. So if you went across our top 3 shot distribution, right? What do you call that?
Shot
usage,
creators?
whatever. Right. What are you gonna get out of Jalen Brunson?
I would say this year, I'm gonna get, I think his points dip a little bit because he'll probably pass more. So I'll say we get Brunson maybe 23, 4, and 9, let's say.
All right.
About that.
So their top piece and our top piece, you give the edge to them.
Their top piece beats our top piece, yes, but our fit and our roster construction is better than their roster construction because their roster construction all depends, all weighs on the overbearing shoulders of Joel Embiid and the weak knees of Paul George. And once one of them, it doesn't even have to be both. God forbid it's Joel. Doesn't even have to be Joel, though. If it's one of them, their hopes, gone.
Who's injury prone on our team?
Mitchell Robinson.
That's it?
Again, if you want to say Julius Randle is, I'll counter that to say those injuries, in my opinion, were freak injuries. So I don't consider that. But I can understand why some people would if you're considering ankle injury, shoulder injury, injuries. So maybe you consider it that way. But I don't consider it that way for the reason I just said.
Well, I think that you have to look at OG Anunoby's history and say that he's as much as a wild card as Joel Embiid is and Paul George. So I can't give us the advantage there. I can't look at what the history is and then come to the Knicks and say, oh, I'm a Knicks fan and everything's going to be just fine. I can't do that, bro. I got to keep it a buck.
I hear you on that, but listen to this. I hear you on that. I'm not saying you're wrong. And I'm not saying OG is not an important piece. He is. We saw the difference. OG on the court versus OG.
Of course.
It's ridiculous. So
Monster. We're night and day with him.
Absolutely. But I will say this. He is not the main piece of our team. He's not. He's an important piece. He's not the main piece. Who's the main piece? It's that little point guard who plays for us right now. That's the main. He's the head of the snake.
Was he available? when
Against
we
Sixers?
got eliminated by Indiana. Was he available?
He was available. He was.
Okay, then.
What roster do we have then there? Do we have the roster we have now with the stars we have?
I don't know if you realize this. You're making my point.
How am I making your point with that though?
Point.
So
my wasn't available and Mitchell wasn't available. We have 2 injury-prone guys. They weren't available. We got eliminated.
I'm saying that Randle will be available because I don't think another freak injury is going to happen. Now you have Mikal Bridges.
Okay. I'll give you that.
Okay, now you have Mikal Bridges, Iron Man right there. Not saying OG Anunoby's going to go down, but let's say he does go down because the injury history would suggest it happens that way. You now have Mikal Bridges you can slide into there. Not saying it's going to be an easy slide. You're not gonna lose anything. You're gonna lose a huge piece off your starting lineup.
You don't have to explain it. Mikal is what he is. We saw him in Phoenix. We saw him in Brooklyn when he was the center of attention. And now you know that he's going to be able to play off of Julius and play off of Jalen. Yeah. And that should be an awesome experience for him. He really should have an awesome year this year in the role that he's in.
And that's why.
All that said,
right.
We lose OG Anunoby. We lose Mitchell Robinson.
Robinson is the biggest issue right now. We know that.
So that's what I'm saying. Like we can't look at the big three with the same issues that Philly has. Like, Joel Embiid has injuries. Paul George has injuries.
The difference
Mitchell
is
Robinson. How is it different?
The difference for me is that the players you're talking about and Paul George and Embiid, the team is strung to. Those are the stars of the team. Now I get OG Anunoby's impactful and important. I get Mitchell Robinson's impactful and important. Those are not your 2 stars. Our 2 stars are relatively not injury prone, and I'm giving Julius Randle the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving him the benefit. I'm saying that because I don't think it's going to be happening again.
I'm willing to give him that.
But that's why I'm saying it though, because you're saying it as if like we also have injury concerns. We do, but their level of injury concerns affect their superstar players, star players. Our star players, to an extent, are not affected if one of those people go down. I'm not saying our team isn't worse. They are. Just like their team would be worse if somebody that they counted on went down. But I'm saying the level of importance that those players play versus an OG or a Mitchell Robinson versus a Jalen Brunson or a Randle, we're talking about a different level here. We have to be. This all-star level and there's not. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but you're kind of looking at it in a silo to what those players are. There's 5 people on the floor. They each bring something different to the table. If you don't have Mitchell Robinson rebounding, which is what he is, and paint presence, guess what? You have a problem. If you don't have OG shutting down the best offensive weapon on the opposing team, guess what? You have a problem. So Jalen Brunson can go off and be everything that he is, and we're still going to have the problem that we had. That doesn't change. That dynamic doesn't change because while Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby may not be, the highest usage guy with the offensive, being through the roof, they're impactful to what we do. You can't dismiss that. Like I understand what you're saying. This one's an all-star. This one's a borderline all-star, and that one's this. But though it's 5 guys on the floor. When you look at that Indiana series, there were key moments, right? If you look at the Indiana, this is the most leading stat, right? The rebounding, total rebounding, and shout out to Tommy D because I think it was he and I that had the conversation. Total rebounding, right? We did our thing. We really did our thing against them despite all the injuries. But when you go to clutch moments in the game, they were late. And the best we could do was try to tip it out to get an attempt at a rebound, and we couldn't get that rebound. When we really needed a rebound, their bigs were able to get it, and we didn't have the resources on the court to secure a rebound in those crucial moments. They had 2, 3, and 4 attempts on a trip down, and we didn't have that. And it had nothing to do with Jalen Brunson being who Jalen Brunson is because we couldn't get the rebound to give him the ball back. So you can't dismiss that. The injury to the team puts us right at that same point that it would for them. So for me, that's why I'm at with it. I can't.
Listen, we're going to go back and forth, but I appreciate that because I like the back and forth. I'll just say this. I understand what you're saying. I'm not saying those players aren't important. They are. They mean something. We saw last season what they meant. Because if we had them last season fully healthy, we would know what would have happened, right? So I understand that. What I'm saying is that the level of player that a Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle are, right? In comparison to what Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby are, which again, they're all great players, but there's a difference. There's a level. With the Sixers, the level starts with Embiid and Paul George. With the Knicks, it starts with Jalen and Julius. And all I'm saying is, yes, both teams are going to be hurt by injury. You're right. But the stars that they could lose in comparison to the stars we could potentially lose, that's all I'm saying. I get what you're saying. I'm not disagreeing. All I'm saying is that
you think this loss is more important than that loss. I think it's all even, and we're gonna end up with a disadvantage because, like I said, we could not secure a rebound when we needed it.
Let me ask you this. If Jalen Brunson goes down for the season, are the Knicks a lost cause?
No.
They can get to the same place they could get.
This team will be competitive. This team will be competitive. It'll change. It'll make Randle that much more important. OG showed you what he can do offensively. Mikal's going to be here doing what he does offensively.
You think we'll be a competitive team without Brunson?
One of the switch army knives that we have, and I didn't really appreciate that he was this good. Dante DiVincenzo is amazing. Whether you realize it or not, he came up and played some point last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying he would be the answer at point guard, but the team can be competitive without Jalen. It would be a little different how they go about it, but they can still be competitive. Even if if we lost either All-Star. Wait a minute, Jalen is not an All-Star. So
he is an All-Star. He made All-Star. He made All-Star this year, first year. You didn't see that? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he was the late addition, right?
Yeah,
somebody got scratched.
No, he made it. He was somebody was one of the reserves, but he made it though.
All right, so if we lose either All-Star, I still think that we'll be competitive, right? I still think we'll be competitive. If they lose either All-Star, they'll still be competitive. But for us, I think that we'll get points out of places that we wouldn't expect. And I don't want to say it's Deuce McBride. I do think, and this was to the point you made earlier, I do think Deuce McBride is expendable. I don't think there's minutes for him.
Right.
I think that what you get in Dante, and it's no disrespect to him. I think he's a really good player.
Yep.
He's an elite 3-and-D point guard, and in the right system, he's going to flourish and be a vital piece. But if we lost Jalen Brunson, I don't think the season would be lost. I think we would still be competitive.
For me, I think. Look, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that.
You can say I'm wrong. It's fine.
No, I'm not because I agree with what you're saying. But what I'm saying as well too is that the Jalen Brunson thing for me is if Jalen Brunson goes down, right? I don't think this. I'm not saying the Knicks would be competitive, but I think that they would be fighting for seeding. I think they would be fighting for seeding with the roster that they have right now because I think people underestimate how much of an important player he is for this team. We go by him. There is nobody on this roster that can replace that. We know how important point guard play is. We've seen the Knicks without a point guard. So I don't want to watch it again. If you're telling me this team is not, well, look at the East. The East has not gotten like it slept or anything. They got good too. And like you said with the Bucks, they're not going to be a bad team. I think people are underestimating the Bucks. They're probably going to be better than most people think.
If we're top 4 now with Jalen, on the Eastern Conference, I think we're 5-6 without him. I think that's how talented this team is.
That's fighting for seeding though, because you're fighting for playoff seeding at that point. You're a play-in team that you're fighting for 6th seed. Yes, you are. 7 and 8 are play-in teams. You're fighting for seeding.
I'm not saying we're 7 and 8 though.
You're saying we're 6th. Then we're firmly in 6th.
I'm saying we're 5-6. I'm thinking we could be 5-6. I think we'd be on Cleveland's tier.
I think
we'd be on Cleveland's tier. That's what I think we'd be at.
I heavily disagree with that.
And Miami, because I think that rookie kid. I think they're good. I think Miami's gonna be a solid team.
You know what though? This helps me though. You saying that makes me understand the entire take, and that helps me understand where you're at, which is good because it's not a bad thing. I understand where you're at. For me, I understand how I'm looking at it, which is a little bit different because I see the players a little bit differently. I see their values and what they mean to the team a little bit differently, and I think losing one of them means more. And I think the likelihood is they're going to. I'm saying they're as the Sixers. The likely chances are they're going to lose one of their all-stars well before we lose one of ours, and because of that, that's why I think it's going to be worse for them. And if I'm right here, right? Let's say it's a race to who loses who first, right? Just saying that, right?
Okay.
We've seen history already prove that the Knicks win that race now, right? We have a better roster now with people that likely, like Mikal Bridges, who's Iron Man, who will play probably every game. So you have something else you didn't have last year, better bench than you have last year. And maybe now you can keep the players in their roles on the bench. You now have a better bench that you can use in Tom Thibodeau trust. Maybe that's how you get the rest and everything else like that as well too. I'm not saying it's going to happen.
I feel like you're making my point though. I feel like you're making my point. You're making all the reasons why, if heaven forbid something happened to Jalen, we will still be competitive. 5-6, worst possible case scenario, 5-6. Still in contention for the 4th, but 5-6.
I think we're a playing team fighting for that 6th spot. But that's my opinion. Without Jalen. With Jalen, With Jalen, anything is possible. Without Jalen, though, I have too much faith in that kid. But
All right.
that's
You know
just
what?
me.
We both respect what Jalen is. We both respect what
Yeah.
Jalen brings to the table. So I'm not about to say it sounds crazy to me because it doesn't. But I still think that you're looking at Tom Thibodeau, who grinds out every regular season win like it was the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
There's no way that this team has that far a drop off to go from being a contender to being a playing team over one player under Tom Thibodeau. I just don't. I just don't think that. I don't think
Let's.
that Tom Thibodeau would allow that.
I want to see what the chat says because they've been going off. They've been talking a lot since we've been chatting up here. So I want to see what they have to say and some of the comments that we got. Shout out to the chat gang. Still have almost 100 people still actively watching. So we can't hear you anymore.
Them.
Oh, I can't hear you. No. I thought I could hear you for a second, but I can't. Never mind. But yeah, shout out to them, man. They are loyal. I love my audience. I love all the people who are watching. And if you guys want to get into the action, into the chat, now is the time to do so because we are taking comments. We are taking questions. We will be taking all of these super chats as well too. So my guy Parrish Duggar gave us some super chats, so I want to read his super chats as well too. If you want to add a super chat to this, all you have to do is make sure you jump right into the YouTube channel. You'll see a little button there with a heart, and if you click on that, it'll be a super chat. And if you hit that, you'll be able to donate to the show and get your comment read on air, so I wouldn't miss it because I get to see all of them as well too. But let me go ahead to Parrish and see what he has to say. So Parrish says, Mitch has overstayed his place here. It's crazy. This front office has handled our guys with completely denounces that. Mitch actually helped us beat Philly by neutralizing Embiid when iHeart couldn't. But Mitch has overstayed his place here is crazy. Oh, okay, got it. So he's saying that we're saying that Mitch has overstayed his place here is crazy because the way the front office has handled this situation has been great. Mitch has actually helped us beat Philly, given what he did about neutralizing Embiid. I'm thinking he's talking about the regular season. Maybe one of the games we played before he went down.
In that playoff series, Mitch had some real good moments against Joel, isolated one-on-one. When he went out, OG stepped up and we doubled, which we hadn't done throughout the series. But when Mitchell rose to the challenge, and I think he's right there. I think Mitchell was outstanding in that scenario one-on-one with Joel.
He was. My whole thing was that it's overstayed his place here. The only reason I say that is because, again, when you look at the roster, where does your concern go? For me, it jumps to center. For what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's kind of how we opened the show, right? Center is really the linchpin for what happens for us, and it all kind of revolves around Mitchell Robinson's health.
Yeah.
If he's able to be healthy, despite his flaws, despite the fact that he can't set a screen to save his life, we will be
Moves
contenders.
that pivot every single time.
Yeah,
drags.
I gotta say it. I hope he hears it. I hope he sees it. And I hope he does something about it. But that to the side, Mitch being what he is, man, he deters shots in the paint.
Yeah.
He rebounds like a beast, and you have to deal with him. And he's not scared of the challenge. You saw what he did with Joel one-on-one until Joel Embiid did the sucker stuff. And yeah, so Joel, if he's healthy, we'll be fine. As long as he's healthy, we'll be fine. I want more from him, but fine. We'll be contenders.
He also says Thibs and Leon are staying loyal to Sims and Deuce also. Well, first of all, shout out to you, Paris. Even if we agree or disagree, doesn't really matter to me as long as you're enjoying the show, you're enjoying what we're talking about, and you love the basketball conversation. That's really what I want to have anyways. But in terms of your topic with staying loyal to Sims and Deuce, they will to a point, though. I mean, that's the question with everybody. I mean, they're going to do it until they don't need to do it anymore because they have somebody else that makes more sense. I've said it before. If Jalen Duren's on the table and it costs Deuce and those protected picks, Deuce McBride is gone. Because Fit's going to overclass anybody's 100%. Feelings any day 100%. Of the week. And I think you all saw that because are the kids here anymore, Oh?
Not at all. They got passports now.
I mean, listen, and shout out to Emmanuel quickly. He got paid that contract that we were never going to give him. So shout out to...
IQ's awesome, man. I met his aunt.
Yeah, shout out to
IQ. What was the name? Deandra? I'm going to mess up her name. Demetria. She was awesome. IQ's awesome. I wish them the best, man. Good luck to him. I thought that he deserved the opportunity to start. It's funny, he would have came off the bench as long as he got starter money, but just the way that we're structured and what we're trying to do with our salary cap, that didn't make sense for us. So we found ourselves in that position that we find ourselves today with Julius, and we'll see how that plays out. But shout out to IQ and shout out to his folks, man. Good luck to him, man. I'm hoping the best for him.
You know, IQ, again, he got paid. Shout out to him. He got a large contract. I think it was like close to 200 million. Like he was not going
What
to,
is it? Is 30, 34 or 30? What do you get per?
I think it's 30 something, like 32. Like I think the whole
It's,
contract is
yeah, it's around
197.
there. It's like 33 or 34 per. Outstanding number. Nothing that we could have done for him in that
No,
range. So
not even the
that's
playing time. You couldn't even give him like imagine giving somebody that much money and playing like 20 some odd minutes off the bench. Like it'd be ridiculous. Like it,
listen. Alan Hahn said it best, right? Like he was talking about starter money
yeah,
while coming off the bench. It wouldn't have made sense for us.
yeah.
They could have done it, but it wouldn't have made sense for us. It would have capped what we could have done going forward. Like we couldn't have had this conversation with OG. We couldn't have had some of the and granted, Jalen Brunson did what he did. If we paid that money to IQ would have to do much more for us than he's doing for Toronto right now, even.
So we're again, guys. You can continue going to the chat. We're going to continue to take your comments, basically, for a couple of times, because I know we had a couple of issues with the technicalities, and I know we had some issues over here. So because we can make up for that a little bit, just going to go a couple more minutes. Oh, I hope you're fine with that to talk about.
Yeah, I'm good.
Perfect. All right, and you let me know whenever you got to go. No problem with me. Obviously, I know you got stuff to do.
Once the beer runs out, I might throw a hand up, but other than that, we're good, man. We're gonna rock out.
Awesome. I appreciate you. And shout out to everybody in here. Even Best, I really do appreciate you, man. He's been a subscriber, probably one of my first subscribers I think I ever had. So he's been supporting for a while. I really appreciate you. Everybody who's supporting, subscribing, hitting this the like button, sharing the actual videos. I really do appreciate that. You guys don't understand how much those comments, those shares, the views, it all means to me and everything we're trying to do here. So really do appreciate that. The fan base has been amazing. The community has been amazing, always so strong. And again, it's almost 10:22. We're still going so long here with all the conversations we're having about the Knicks. And you guys are still loyal to the conversation, so I appreciate that. We're going to go to Killer Dogs, who says his comment is, I can't believe how Brunson is being so underrated when he's been carrying the Knicks for the last few years. What the F were we doing before he came? I don't know if that's something to you. I don't think you were underestimating Brunson when you were talking about the Knicks, where the Knicks would be in terms of the playoff thing. So I wouldn't say that's directed toward you per se. But
it's not taking away anything from Jalen Brunson. I think that what fans got to really realize is the versatility of this roster. Tom Thibodeau is going to find himself in a position that a lot of coaches would be jealous of. Mikal Bridges is a Swiss Army knife.
Mm-hmm.
OG Anunoby is a Swiss Army knife. The flexibility he's going to have on this roster, the things we're going to do defensively while Mitch is healthy, it's not so much a slight. It's no slight to what Jalen is. Jalen has been a godsend for this team, and he's really been a leader and awesome. I in no way want to kind of sell short what he means to the organization. I just think that kudos to the front office. They've been able to build out a roster that is so flexible, so dynamic, that we can survive and be competitive without Jalen. And I believe that wholeheartedly. Hopefully, we'll never have to find out. But yeah, man, I have faith in that. I do believe that.
All right. Now we finally have the chat on screen. So now everybody can finally see it, because you know how things work. It doesn't want to work until it does work. You're going to see it in a second on your screen there, OG, right at the bottom. We got E. Gibson that says, E. Gibson's comment just passed. Let me see if I can go find E. Gibson's comment again, as it just passed on the screen. A lot of people take for granted and undervalue what Randle does. With an improved roster, I think he'll be more efficient as well. I absolutely agree with that. I've said it probably to start the show off. He's still looking. You're still waiting for the chat to go. You'll see it. I promise you. Like a little kid.
I'll watch it afterwards.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I promise you. I'll see it before you see it.
I'm gonna put on this camera up here. It's like my rear view mirror.
Oh my goodness.
I'll put this one on.
It's gonna come out like in 2 seconds. But he says that Julius Randle sometimes gets underestimated in terms of his value, what he means to this roster, and his impact this year because of the roster we constructed around him. I think that was my argument that I said to you in terms of where he is now, being able to maximize his ability because of the fact we had the roster constructed around him that can have him be able to do that. So, I was on that fan, but I just saw you shake your head there a little bit. I don't look OG. I don't like this hate that I'm seeing about
Julius,
Randle here, man.
It's funny, man. Like, I don't put any player before the team, first and foremost, all the time. I tend to
look back. No, look.
Okay. Parrish Duger. Sims and Deuce can start, play a G League. Yeah, man. I hate to break it to you, man, but Deuce is trade fodder. So I hope you didn't buy a jersey. Shout out to Deuce, though. Listen, man, Julius Randle, we can survive without him the same way that we can survive without Jalen. We can slide OG Anunoby to the 4, and Mikal down to the 3, and bring Dante at the 2, and we'll be good. We'll be a good competitive team. We lose a little gravity. Julius is a beast. You got to deal with Julius. You're not going to send him out there and think that you're not going to have to send a double team. You have to double Julius to
Yep.
get the ball out of his hands. You leave him one-on-one, he's going to cook. He's going to eat. And that's why he's probably holding out for more money, because he knows that. But again, the flex, and again, it goes back to Leon Rose. It goes back to Brock Aller. And it goes back to the point that the flexibility of this roster, I don't know if in my lifetime I've seen this much flex. Like I survived when we were trying to play Anthony Mason and Charles Smith at the small forward. It's a different era, and I don't know if they're really like Charles Smith was 6'10" and kind of lanky, not doofy even. Oh, I mean, not old, but Mace had a handle, and Mace was agile, but he didn't really have the athletic ability. This roster right now, I don't know if there's another roster in the league that has the flexibility that we do. We can do so many things with this roster. We could start Dante at the 1, have Mikal at the 2, have OG at the 3, have Randle at the 4, and Robinson at the 5, and really have point of attack defense across the whole umbrella. Like, you got to deal with the point guard, the 2 guard, and the 3, bro. And then you got Mitch in the paint. Like, I don't know if the fans really realize what this front office has done with flexibility. So it's no shade to Jalen. It's no shade to Julius. We just have an incredible roster right now with a lot of flexibility.
We do. I just, I think I understand the underrating part. I think Randle has been severely underrated for a while in terms of his Knicks career. I mean, I've been one to be one to outspeak about him, because of the fact I felt like he wasn't doing the things he needed to do on certain occasions in certain seasons. But I've turned that around. Yeah. I've turned that around because, I upgrade my stuff with what the players do. And if the players get better, then I'll start to think, okay, well, maybe things are going to start to change. With Randle and his behavior, the way he's approached the game, I think that it's a clear difference. He's not looking at things as the number 1 anymore. I think he understands the sacrifice is needed. His role was sacrificed already. And him accepting that was a huge part of it. And we saw it worked in January. He had no problem with it. The only question is now, how will he feel on some nights where his number may not be called because everybody else is having it?
Bro, he's addressed that already. I don't know if it was on with Podcast P, or I don't know if it was with 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, Mello's podcast. And either or, I forgot which one it was. He said, which was a raw and honest moment from him. I don't know if the fans saw this, but he basically said how it was humbling to see the team have the success without him. If you look in the past, so many things was centered around Julius Randle being who he is, right? That he could be spoiled. So when he's dogging it on defense and not getting back, and Tom Thibodeau's not chewing him out about it, right? But he's giving Obi Toppin the business because he's leaking out looking for a dunk. I get it, but now that doesn't exist anymore. He said it on the podcast. He was humbled to see the team have the success without him, right? So now we're gonna get a different kind of Julius because he's witnessed this team thrive without him. You're not what you were in the past, though. You were the sun, right? Everything revolved around you. Those days are over. This team has enough talent now on the roster to succeed without you. So now who are you going to be as this team moves forward? What are you going to bring to the table? We know you got your 25 and 10. Are you going to get back on D? Are you going to keep you're not going to look like Kevin Knox where people are leaking back door on you, right? Because, he falls asleep back there and somebody catches him back door and then he's looking at everybody else when it was his man. Those are the things now that you're going to look at and say, hey, either you keep us from being a contender or you're part of the reason why we become contenders. So Julius Randle, I hate to say it because everybody looks at him like a scapegoat, but it's true. Like what he becomes this season is going to be key to what we do. It really is.
You got some fans in the chat. Michael Drake says Nickanator knows what he's talking about.
That's my guy from the Carolinas. Shout out to Drake. Yo, what's up, bro?
Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. He's also been a longtime subscriber to the show. I think I talked to Drake probably like every other day on the comments. He's always part of the support. So big shout out to him,
bro. Me and him have been going back and forth since Frank Ntilikina got drafted.
Oh, yeah, that's a long time.
when it was like, yo, Ramon Sessions and
oh god.
All right,
Why are you doing this, man? I need a beer now. Most High Mensa says Jules was playing best ball of his career before he got hurt. He said when he got hurt, but I'm assuming he means before he got hurt. I agree with that. I said it before. The January month was a great month for Julius. I thought he was playing the best ball of his career once RJ got traded. Honestly, I thought that's when we started seeing the. I'm just saying it's true for me. You started seeing the change in his game. The more he started playing happier to me. Maybe it's just me. But then you saw it even more so take into account when OG came here and he was a big part of it. Once we came to January and he understood the assignment, it was amazing to see what he could do playing the role that he's built to play. Randle should not be doing anything else besides bully ball because I've never seen him play better basketball in his entire career than what I saw in the last season alone. But that month in January specifically was one of the best basketball months I've seen him play, especially in terms of activity. What do you say to that?
Yeah, I don't begrudge Jaime Jaquez Jr. Like, I think that it was a hard basketball play. I think that if Julius did not get hurt, we really would have been in that Eastern Conference final facing Boston.
Easily.
Because to the point that I forgot already who you mentioned the comment made, but to the point that was made earlier from the chat, he was playing amazing ball. He absolutely was playing amazing ball. I don't know if there was some sort of dynamic with RJ no longer in the mix that allowed him to be even more than he had been in the past.
Right.
But Julius, I mean, you look at that Minnesota Timberwolves games. I don't know if you remember or not, but the Minnesota.
Oh my God! What?
Like who was
that?
Guy? Like who was this guy? I don't even know this guy. The guy was a beast. Like, Julius did his thing, and then OG was playing like he had chemistry with these guys before he ever met them. And it was so beautiful to see. Randle was letting the ball move. It wasn't sticking. Ball came to him. He got the one-on-ones. He got the buckets. He got the and ones. So yeah, I give him that. It's no shade to him. I give him that. It's a business. We're gonna see where we are now and how things play out. I don't know, but he was amazing during that stretch. No doubt about it. 100%.
And that was Mensa who said that comment. So shout out to Mensa.
I'm sorry, no disrespect to Mensa. Shout out to you, but
shout out to you, brother.
It was an amazing time from Randle. I think the interesting there really is if you peel back the onion and you start looking at the layers, what was the dynamic and what left, and the dynamic that we had in about the 15 to 17 games or so with Julius. It would be real interesting to break down those numbers and break down the film and see what really happened. But I guess it's all water under the bridge now, and we'll move on. But
JJ4K 47K says, but you said we can survive without Randle, though. I think you might have heard the end of that bit in terms of like you said that we would be able to compete. I don't know necessarily. Right. I don't know. I think survive.
I think I 100% think that without either All-Star, Jalen or Julius, this team can be competitive within the top 5, maybe 6, but within the top 5. I don't have a lot of faith in Cleveland. I don't have a lot of faith in Milwaukee. I think those are two teams in flux. But that said, if we lost either All-Star, I do think we'd be competitive because, like I said, since the show started, the flexibility on this roster is amazing.
Yep.
So I don't back down from that. It doesn't matter whether it's Jalen or Julius. This team can be competitive without either or.
King Blaze says Randle needs to rep in the playoffs. Basically speaking to what you said in terms of that impact and where it's felt. Obviously during regular season is one thing, but doing it where it counts the most, the playoffs. That's always eluded Randle. How do you feel about this comment? I'll say this. I'll stand on this. How do you feel about me saying that with Julius Randle, I would say that the reason, not the main reason, he obviously has his own issues as well too, but a majority reason is that the rosters around him necessarily never maximized his specific skill set, what he does best. I think the best roster he ever had around him is this one right now in terms of maximizing what he can do. So I think if he fails to do it this year, it's it. What do you think about that? With the roster he has right now.
Yeah, I think where Julius is at in his career, and to the point you're making about the supporting cast around him, the dynamic that's going to play out with the offense, I think Julius is in a prime position to hold out and get a better contract. I think he's going to have an amazing season, and I think he will have an amazing playoff. Some of the things that come with your first playoff appearance, it doesn't matter who you are, you go through challenges. McMillan, to his credit, really worked really hard to take Randle away, and we didn't have an answer for that. For all the people that loved RJ, RJ wasn't ready, right? And what played out. You fast forward to the year that we don't have a playoff appearance, and the team was still half pregnant, which is what I like to call them. They still hadn't really decided if
Right.
they were a win now team or if they were a developmental team, and they were trying to do two things at once. So they're walking around half pregnant. That's always how I looked at that period. They made the decision after James Dolan came down from his booth because we got an ass whooping on a Sunday, which I was there with my daughter.
So sorry about that.
I think it was OKC or the Dallas Mavericks, but they whipped us by like 30 on a Sunday with all the kids in the building crying, and James Dolan heated up some seats. James Dolan and company came down and said, "Hey, we're gonna have a conversation." And even though after the game, the reporters were waiting around because the folks usually come out to have the post game. Nah, James Dolan held these dudes for 45 minutes because he lit a fire under them. And I think that's when the half pregnancy ended. I think that's when they all got on the same page about who they wanted to be. That's when you got Cam Reddish 39 DMPs in a row because the team had made the decision that we are a win now team, and all the moves we make going forward are to be a win now team. So you fast forward now to Randall or Jalen, it doesn't even matter. There's that much talent on this roster where we'll still be competitive. Julius is primed to have an awesome season.
Yeah.
There's really no excuse for him not to be awesome. And I don't expect him to be nothing less than awesome. For all the haters out there and all the people that are detractors when it comes to Julius Randle, dude, you're about to eat some crow because he's really going to have a great season, I suspect. That's how I feel about it.
So a few more comments here. Then we're going to have to let Nickanator go. We've been keeping him for way too long. We already kept him for at least 7 more minutes longer than I was supposed to keep him for. So apologies to you,
Damn,
Nickanator.
it's that late? I didn't even realize.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. We talk for a while, bro. That's what happens though when you have a good conversation. I always say that when you have a good conversation with somebody, it's always going to go fast. And this conversation,
shout out to you.
man, it was
Bro,
great.
I love the background. I got to tell you, I love the background. I love what you did with the background. That is awesome, man.
Yeah, I
looks like you're in
appreciate
a
you.
studio. That's awesome.
Yeah. I always, I got to keep it a little bit, live. I got to keep it a little bit different as well too. I like to keep the
That's
shows
really cool,
different.
man. That's really cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being one of the first guests to be on the returning show of Knicks Live. Going to be starting all off for all the other Knick content creators. Got so many good guests coming up. It's so going to be great. But I love having you obviously on OG. And I want to get a couple of comments from you about a couple other things that our chat has to say here. Then we're going to let you go. Joe Curry says, Bridges is the third option with us. Julius is the second option. Just change it up. The options if we play a team like Denver, Milwaukee, or Philadelphia. See, that's the thing I have trouble kind of wrapping my brain around. I know Tom Thibodeau very, very well. Seen him coach for a while now. He doesn't normally make an adjustment based off the team that you face. He just rolls the same team out there. So the idea that now because we have these players, he's going to utilize them in a way that changes the lineup each and every time. First of all, we're talking about Julius Randle here, a star player. You're not going to do that with an all-star. That doesn't make sense. But also, Tom Thibodeau's not like that. I don't think that. I really can't see that happening. What about you?
Yeah, the professional game isn't like that. It's you may see that in college. You may see a lot of flexibility in college. You're not going to get that in pros. It's an 82-game season. I like to say every game has a soul. Every game brings whatever that player went through his day, whatever the coach went through his day, and what they all find comfortable, right? Anyone that has success, right? Anyone that is successful in their life is because they have routine. And that routine that they create puts them in a successful position. Tom Thibodeau has a routine. It doesn't matter, who these players are that are being in these positions. There are adjustments made, and they roll out their game plan. When you are competing, right, in sports, the team that has the success is the team that is able to impose their will on their opponent on any given night. There are 82 games. If I was telling you we were playing street football and we knew a team that if you go man, they're gonna have struggles, or if you go zone, they know how to chop up a zone. All right, so then we would adjust and we understand what it is, and we would impose our will. It's no different in competition in sports or basketball. Every night, Tom Thibodeau is going to impose his will. We're going to rebound, we're going to defend, we're going to get extra attempts, and we're going to beat you at the end of the day. All that other stuff, it doesn't matter, bro. It doesn't matter.
And the Tom Thibodeau coach, right, got extended recently. Shout out to him. I think it's almost $10 million a year. We don't know the exact number, but that's the second highest besides Larry Brown, which is crazy, right? That's like 2000 and something. And his was like around 12 million. 12 million.
Hey, he's earned it. God bless him.
God bless him. But Tom Thibodeau earned it as well, too. And I think obviously a lot of people remember what he's done over the last few years, wanting him out, wanting him in again. So I definitely agree with you with what you said. And I do think that the Knicks will find a way to be competitive because Thibodeau is the coach. I always just have a problem with acknowledging the fact that this team, while they'll be competitive, I just don't see a way out for them unless they have somebody leading the charge, because everybody needs that leader on the team. And I think that if you're void of that, you can only be so good. You're never going to be able to maximize what you can do. You'll be competitive as competitive as you can be with the players you have. But when you start switching around players and where they need to be, their roles, like for instance, if I put Randle at the 5 because I lost Mitchell Robinson, that's a mistake, because I'm now taking away Randle's strength because I've moved him. Similar to how we used to talk about Josh Hart and how we didn't like him playing power forward because we're missing him. We're utilizing him in a way.
Never like that. Never like that idea.
Right. And the thing is, you're utilizing him in a way that, again, doesn't maximize his skill set. Because when he's doing that, he can't go coast to coast. And that's exactly what Josh Hart does the best on the team, probably better than anybody else. So you limit that. Same vein with Randle. If you change his position, you limit that. So, yes, I think the Knicks can account for injuries easier now with the roster. But I don't think that they could change it to the extent of being able to replace or make up for one of those guys. It's just too impossible. And the way the East is right now, how heavy they rely on stars. If you're missing your stars and you don't have anybody to do that, that means some nights, even though everybody else is going well, when you need those 2 stars to be the ones going off to make your team go, and you don't have them, you're going to be void of having that talent. You're going to be searching for it. So the games you might have won if you had a Jalen or had a Randle there, you wouldn't, because now you don't have that person to be able to lead during those moments. You have to rely on somebody who, quite frankly, has never done it. OG's never done it, and Mikal has failed to do it for an entire season with Brooklyn. So I don't think it makes sense to kind of rely on him again. So I understand where the comment comes from, Joe. I can understand where you're coming from with that. Thank you for the comment. But in my opinion, I do agree with you to an extent. You can't replace any of those guys. You can still remain competitive, but competitive doesn't mean get to where you would have gotten beforehand. It just means remaining at a level that maybe you would have been at with those 2 guys. But you can't imagine the question that the team would probably be better if you had your all-stars. I think that's just common fact. So a couple more comments here from Wild. I think that's Wild Boy The. Don't know why it's that way, though. Wild Belt Boy, though, says that some nights it's going to look like Bridges is the second option. Some nights. That is true. And that's the thing, OG, that I don't think anybody really has an answer for yet, because I've asked it, really. What happens on those nights where Randle's not the second option, not the third option, not an option? What happens when it's OG's night, it's Jalen's night, it's Mikal's night, but it's not his night? Are we going to see an issue where he's on the bench looking upset again, not happy, not involved? Is that going to happen, or is he going to be happier again? Like, what do you think is going to happen in that situation?
I don't expect that at all. I think what the fans have to keep in mind is that the NBA season is a long grind. The NBA season is a long grind. There are nights that some guys have it. There are nights that some guys don't. The players are on the floor. There's a synergy there. They recognize who's who. They recognize who has it going, and they feed that guy. I don't think, Julius is not going to be sitting there with a sourpuss when he literally admitted on a podcast that he was humbled to see the team have success without him. So I think he recognizes that this team can have success without him. So I think he's matured and he's grown beyond that. To admit that publicly in a podcast, I don't want that to go over fans' head. You got to understand Julius's spot right there. He's live, letting you know that he sees game, right? And as an athletic competitor, he respects what he saw. Please don't let that go over your head, because he made that statement publicly. So I don't think that's going to be a case where he's going to be sulking. Maybe in the past when he was younger, those challenges got the best of him, but I don't think that's where he's at today. So I don't think we have to worry about that.
Appreciate you, OG. Last question for Nickanator before we end tonight. We're gonna go for a good one, so I'll wait. Knicks 100. Oh, it's not a question, but it's a good comment. Knicks 100 GM says, y'all got to squeeze in a show every week, Troy. I guess they like the conversation. Listen, if I could bother OG all the time, I would. I've been trying to get him on the show for a while. You think I haven't been trying?
That's true.
It's been a
That's
while,
true.
okay?
That is true.
I got
a lot going on, fellas. I live in the South Bronx. Well, I live in Brooklyn, but I'm in the South Bronx. There's a lot going on. But anytime you hit me up, we will work it out. I'll come on.
And like I said before, we started at the shop of the show. For anybody who wasn't here, he has a brand, Casual Corner Sports. It's right on the screen right now.
Yes,
Please follow him on this, and you can see his @ right now on screen at Nickanator. Follow him on both of those pages. That's how you get the most up-to-date content for him. Go ahead, Nick.
You mentioned that, and I want to take the opportunity to say that, when I do the Casual Corner Sports, when I do my spaces, when I do my podcast, it's going to be a little different. We're absolutely going to talk about the team, but I'm going to talk to you about the history of the game. I'm going to talk about the history of the fandom. I'm going to go through books. We're going to have spaces where we do book reviews, right? I read Paul Nepper's book. I read Arrington's book was a great book. It's I'm gonna bring that to the table. I'm gonna bring clips from Chicago and folks that I met in Chicago and folks that I met in Atlanta when I went to Atlanta and folks from Denver. I met 2 or 3 people when I flew out to Denver, and we actually won. That season was the first time we swept Denver, even though Denver ended up winning the championship that year. That was the first time, and it came down to the final possession. I was literally sitting. I was fortunate. Me and my cousin. Shout out to my cousin Lewis. He got us some awesome seats. We were sitting right behind Coach. He's a Tom Thibodeau stan, so it was annoying because just to mess with me, he kept saying, "I love you, Tom Thibodeau," but that was another game. We met some awesome people. We got awesome clips. So that's the kind of content I'm going to bring to the folks. I'm going to bring the fan experience. Yeah, we're going to talk about the team, but I'm going to bring the fan experience to the table. That's what I'm looking to do.
I love that. I love that because nobody does that anymore. I mean, I don't really think anybody does, at least the level you're going to be doing. And I don't want to reveal anything, but I don't think anybody's going to do it to the level you're doing. And it's clear. If my audience feels that you have a voice, they like what you're saying, and they like the message, that's all I need to hear from me to say that you're going to be successful whenever you start to do this.
Yeah, you gotta excuse me. I'm gonna take another 30 seconds just to
Please go ahead.
Give flowers to folks. I have a guy and I haven't signed a contract yet. It's part of the reason why I haven't done some of the things with Casual Corner that I haven't done. But I have a guy out on the West Coast. He runs a gambling house. He's got an office in Las Vegas. He's got a network, across the country. We're gonna partner with them. We're gonna have some videos that we're putting out. I've got a spot in Midtown where we're gonna host events live. We're gonna have folks that came to the game with me. We're talking about MJ's Lasagna. If you're on Twitter and you know who MJ's Lasagna, MJ's gonna come out and sit down, almost like a center stage. If you guys remember what the Yes Network did with Michael K and center stage, I've worked out this place. The place is Diamante. Shout out to Sarah. That's the boxers. Hey, actually, you know what? I shouldn't even say that. That's personal stuff. But anyway, shout out to Diamantes. They've agreed to work with us. My wife, Yams and Yuka, she's gonna cater it. But at Midtown, across the street from the Garden, we're gonna host a center stage like episode with folks. Shout out to Sean Geddes. He's agreed to come aboard.
Amazing.
We're gonna reach out to Julito, and it's gonna be a lot of nice stuff that's really gonna be fan oriented about the experience. We all love the team, but we're gonna talk about our experience as fans, and that's really where I want to go with it, man. I want to talk about the people that we meet along the way.
I love that. I love having the ability to have somebody have a hub for that. Because like I said, it doesn't really exist right now. There's some people that kind of do it, but they don't do it consistently. It's kind of like a hit or miss, especially not during the season. Nobody can do it enough during the season unless you're at the games a lot. And
you already know, like,
Yeah.
we got to go to the game, brother. Hopefully this season you come to the game with me. I tried to invite you last year, but you were so busy. But
yeah, brand creation.
I go to the game. I see some of the other. I don't want to mention nobody on the air, but I see some of the other content creators, and we talk and we link and we chop it up, and it's great conversations it's had. There are people that end up recognizing people because social media is the animal it is, and then you get a little subset of a conversation it's had, and we all love the team. It's just a great energy, man, and I want to bring that energy. That's what I want to bring. Not the stuff you get on the court, man. Just the energy that's in the Garden, man. That building is amazing, and I think the people need to know that. So yeah,
Absolutely, man. And I think people are gonna love I heard some of it. I've seen some of it. I've been part of a little bit of it, so I've been happy to be part of that journey.
Yeah.
But
We're gonna do something nice, man. You're gonna do something nice. We're gonna set something nice for us. But
Definitely. And again, like I said before, please follow my guy Nickanator for all of the things that you want to see, regardless of how you feel about the Knicks. As you can see here, he can talk with anybody, regardless if you agree with him, you don't agree with him. It's not gonna matter to him. And now some people kind of shut you away and not talk to you and not keep it basketball. Nickanator doesn't do that, unless you get on his bad side. Which if you want to do that and you want to see how that goes, by all means.
My bad side, pay for a beer. That's it. Pay for a beer.
But thank you so much, Nickanator, man. It was a great show, my first return show for Knicks Live. It was great to speak with you, man. It's been so long. I feel like we shouldn't do this on a live for the first time. We should do it another time, chop it up somewhere else. But
bro, I gotta get another recap hat, man. One of my boys snatched my recap hat and it's gone, and he's rocking out with it. And shout out to him. But
shout out.
This right here, I'm gonna do this all the content creators, and I want the recap hat right there, bro. So we got to work out some merch, man. I'll send the money and send that hat my way, bro. I need to put that hat up there.
I definitely got you, bro. No problem with that. And definitely want to get your merch as well, too. Just go to YouTube. You go to Knicks Recap, and you go straight to the this main channel. You go over to merch, and you'll see all the merch that's there from the spread shop. We're going to go create some new merch for the season. We're not doing anything right now because just way too busy. Too many new shows coming along. Guys, also make sure you guys are ready for the fan sessions that we're going to be doing. That's one-on-one fast sessions with you guys. So we're going to get to that very, very soon, talking about how you became a Knicks fan. Where did it start? Where did it come from? The money you have spent on the Knicks for your lifetime, if you want to, divulge that information. And so much other things about the Knicks. Again, this is going to be a completely new dynamic. If you thought you knew what the Knicks recap had before, like I said, it's changing. We got videos, you got live streams, you got collaborations. And we have fan sessions. It's all coming to you live coming up this next season. But again, shout out to my guy, Nickanator. It was great having you on. His @'s on screen. Give him some support.
Let's go Knicks, baby. Let's go Knicks.
Let's go, baby. It's our season. The championship is within our grasp. It's our time. We have the squad. We are contenders. Feel good about saying that. We haven't said it ever.
Absolutely.
So feel good about saying it. Contenders.
It's a unique time in history, man. It's a unique. Listen, I'm 50 years old, man. Like I said, I've been following the team since 1985.
Yeah.
Appreciate this moment and appreciate everybody involved and just enjoy it to the fullest, man. Let's go Knicks.
Let's go Knicks. And I can't think of a better way than to end the show like that. So for you guys, all the subscribers, I appreciate you guys. For anybody who's not watching, the live audience, if you're watching but you're not subscribed yet, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and do not forget, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, then leave a comment. Let me know. If you enjoy what Nickanator said, leave a comment and let him know. But don't forget, the support aspect is the main part of why I'm doing this show. If you're not going to support, there's really no reason to even watch it. The main reason is to highlight my fellow content creators. And for me, OG Nickanator is one of the main people, one of the first people I started following when I was on the app X. Can't call it Twitter anymore, the app X. But he will be one of your best follows if you make that decision. So please do that. Give us support. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's free, and it helps somebody who's trying to get into the game and deserves to be into the game. Nickanator, really appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much for doing the show. We are out of here. Guys, please make sure you tell your friends to tell a friend to tell a friend to watch this stream, share this stream, and everything like that. But until next time, guys, we're out of here. Peace, and enjoy this Knicks theme, I should say, of Knicks Live. Deuces. Knicks